Welcome back, everybody, to Clay Pigeon for live coverage of the British Universities Karting Championship here on Alpha Live for rounds 7 and 8, the final day of the mains championship here in 2023, and we are getting ready for the second of those two rounds, round 8, the endurance here this afternoon. 3 one-hour-long races for you to enjoy. Here is your circuit for this afternoon, 815 metres in length, 6 turns, very little elevation change, but we are on top of a bit of a microclimate here on top of Warden Hill in Dorset. Long-time circuit, built in the 60s, very old school circuit. Nothing but tarmac for the race circuit and grass to catch out the drivers who may run wide. Stable conditions here at the moment, overcast, little breeze over the circuit, no rain forecast. But we'll mention that microclimate again. It can change very, very quickly. We're going to head down to the grid, though, ahead of the first endurance race this afternoon. Piers Pryor is down there with some of the drivers.
Racing for the final time this afternoon for round 8 of the BUKC 2023, an endurance round this afternoon. Very much looking forward to seeing how the drivers deal with being in a team rather than solo races. And I've spotted Dante Dillon for Nottingham Trent loitering around here. Dante, let's grab a word before the first endurance of the afternoon. A great pace this morning, but unfortunately a penalty hampered your overall result. You're going to try and go a little bit cleaner this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, with the earlier race, you had 3 Southampton drivers, and they were using another seat from another uni as well, just to kind of make sure their teammate wins, which I kind of just had to get creative, and it just got a bit frustrating, really. It wasn't really in the spirit of the rules, but otherwise it was a really fun race. I thought I had great pace. Got Sam starting like 3 spaces ahead of me, so again, I'm sure we'll have fun again.
Is that Sam in the Nottingham Trent B car?
Yeah, that's right. He's just coming over. He's gonna, yeah. So again, we do the old swapperoo in the afternoon, and we'll try and work together in this. Try and move up through the pack.
The Nottingham Trent train is calling at the centre station.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
Right, let's see you get on with that. Good luck. Let's have a wander up the grid. Normally we start at the front and work our way back, because there's a lot of analysis going on here, team. What we're looking at?
Well, we're not. I think we're starting 12th, but he thinks we're starting 23rd. So.
I mean, they're definitely different places.
Yeah.
Where would you prefer to start?
12th, obviously, mate. And it's
13th. So apparently we might be starting 13th now. Either way, what's the outlook for the race? So remind us who you're racing for and your name.
We are 23rd, exactly. Yeah.
So I'm going to do. Basically, we're going to see when the pits are free. And obviously it's an endurance race, so it's just about having clear air and having clean pit stops. So.
You've got the pace and clear air to get a good result in this one, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think we can definitely get top 3 somewhere around the win. So as long as we keep it clean, basically, in fresh air, and we'll be able to make up ground.
Anyone you want to wave to at home, shout out, anything like that?
My dad's probably watching. He likes to see how I'm doing. So.
What's your dad's name?
Armin.
Armin. We'll see how he gets on from 23rd.
23rd, yeah.
23rd and 3rd.
23rd, yeah.
23rd and how's the pit stops? You done any practice? You know what's going on, or are you just going to wing it?
Yeah, we've done quite a lot of pit stops before, so we know what we're doing. Just get them as quick as possible and don't have to change lead around and stuff like that. So.
Right, I better let you go and find your car.
Yeah,
so let's walk on down. Let's head towards. Oh, why not? We'll grab a word with another one of our. You are racing for Oxford Brooks in this one, aren't you?
Indeed,
yes, of course. Right. Where are we starting? I can't because
starting 11th today.
11th, and you had a good race this morning. Looked like you had some decent pace.
Yeah, nice to get the win. Not on circuit because we had an ineligible in front of us, but we take it when it comes.
And this afternoon, who's your teammate? Who are you racing with in this one?
Charlie Whitehouse. So he was quick earlier, but just didn't get the luck with some back markers and some traffic. So no, we'll be all right.
You'll be all right. Plan for the start. Of course, you're starting on the right-hand side, which It's good for some, not so good for others.
Yes, it's going to be helpful because obviously the cars always kind of fall off of the left-hand side of the circuit, so we'll see what happens. But if we get a good start, I've got a few Oxford Brooks boys in front of us, I think 2 more, A and C. So if we're in a pack, we'll work together and we'll get to the front.
That is the useful thing about Oxford Brooks having about 17 teams, is if you come across another one of your drivers, normally they'll help you out.
Yeah, they'll always help us out. We know who's racing at all times, so yeah, we'll always work together if possible.
Right, good luck in the race. We'll catch up with you afterwards, hopefully. I think we're going to have a time to chat to maybe 1 or 2 more people. Looking very focused over here. Riley Phillips racing for?
Oxford Brooks C today.
Brooks C, I was just chatting to Lucas back there. He was saying that hopefully he'll be up with you soon and then you guys can work together for a good race. Is that your plan?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of us up here, so we've got the B team over there as well, the A team, sorry. And yeah, hopefully we can just get to the top 3 and just push along quite nicely. Should be a good race.
Brilliant. Right, let's see if we can grab one more person who's not Oxford Brooks. I've accidentally picked every single Oxford Brooks driver on the grid. your race suit has seen better days.
It has indeed, yeah. I'm sorry about that.
You don't have to apologise to me. You're the one that has to wear it.
That's true, it's true.
What is a Brutzi? A Bruzy? A Brutzi?
It's the company that makes the suits.
Ah, I see. And how did it get so dirty? Was that this morning?
No, it was GYG. This is my second.
GYG? That was like a month ago.
I know, I put it away in my bag ready to clean and forgot about it, so.
Come on. Anyway, I better get out of the way because otherwise JV's going to shout at me. Right, back to you in the comms box. Let's have a good race.
Thank you very much, Piers. Great to hear from some of the drivers down there on the grid. So here is the grid for race number 1. So same process as before. All teams have a random grid position of their 2 races. Everyone's average grid position is the same. So for this race, race number 1, Coventry C start from pole position. York A alongside them on the front row. Edinburgh A are on row 2. Cardiff B join them there. Sheffield A and Oxford Brooks A, who just missed out on the round win this morning, starts on row number 3. Moving on to row 4 then, we've got Brooks C and Lancaster A, Manchester B and Birmingham A on row 5. Brooks B and Nottingham Trent B start on the 6th row of the grid. And then we've got Bath B and Coventry D on row 7. Nottingham Trent A and Oxford A on row 8. Liverpool A and UEA A on row 9. Brunel A and Bristol A on row 10, Loughborough D and De Montfort A on row 11, Bath A and UCL A on row 12. Reading A and Loughborough A start on row 13, Leeds A and Coventry B, 2 big hitters in Clubman there starting on row 14, we'll talk about them in a minute. Coventry A and Surrey A on row 15. UCLan A and Exeter A on row 16, Cambridge A and Southampton B filling out the 34 entries on the grid. If you are following a team that I did not just read out, don't worry, this is the endurance race. They sit out. Each team, 4 of 4 drivers. 2 of the drivers will take part in this race, and the other 2 will take part in the second endurance race for each respective team. Bit of news. We've had some eliminations from the topics of discussion. Your list of teams who could finish the championship in the top 3 are now down to Brooks A, Bath A, Cardiff A, Coventry A, Brooks B and Southampton A. The Clubman competition is down to 1 of 2. It's either going to be the Loughborough Clubman effort or Nottingham Trent A. Coventry B and Leeds A could still finish in the top 3. 3 1-hour races ahead of us. Here we go for round number 8 in the BUKC for 2023. Down into the first breaking down zone, down into Billy's blind. The number 30 gets thrown out wide there. That's Cardiff. But apart from that, all looking pretty good. Although 2-3 wide, this cart's taken to the grass on the exit of the S's. The number 68 is one of them. There's also 1 cart off. John Ratcliffe towards the back of the field. That was all running really well through Billy's blind. Then it got frantic again through the S's.
Yeah, I was going to say that all the drivers had listened to Jacob over the lunch break, giving that re-briefing after lunch, just saying it's not 1 at the first corner, you've got an hour-long enduro here, let's just wait it out for the first lap and let things fall into place. Some of the drivers then, once we got to the S's, forgot all about that. It's a good side-by-side for the lead. 59 should hold it around the left there and does just about. So York A hold on to the lead ahead of Coventry C there through the first couple of corners, but no, Coventry C fighting back and get the inside into the S's, so they take the lead now. Good little start from them. I did notice as well, Lancaster A on the opening lap got turned across the front nose cone of another driver through the S's and then took to the grass in avoidance as it all sort of kicked off at the S's there. But they're still battling through that middle of the pack. And I think York A have now dropped into third as the 29 of Edinburgh A moved through up into second place.
Yeah, and Edinburgh A were superb this morning. I spoke to them before we started and asked them, well, what's the aim for today? What would you be happy with? They're pushing for the top 20 overall in the championship, and if they can do what they did this morning, well, they're sat currently in 19th place.
Our leader.
Penalty for the race leader. Bumper pass for Coventry C. Change of the lead at the front of the order.
Edinburgh A have got through.
Yeah, they have indeed.
Because now they're under a lot of pressure. Blimey, did anyone tell them it was an enduro?
Yes, but they've definitely not paid attention to it. Lucas Sullivan looking around the outside there in the number 8 of Oxford Brooks B.
We've got Dante Dillon and Sam Pooley now in this battle as well.
The two Nottingham Trent drivers there. And Sam Sanders. Oh, my goodness, this is a heavy hitters race.
Yes, it is.
In the early stages of this one. Looking to the outside, Coventry C on Edinburgh A. Edinburgh A hold it. Brooks B on the outside there in the green and yellow. Contact between Lucas Sullivan and Dante Dillon there. Dillon on the inside as they approach the S's. That'll be Trent A up to third place. Contact warning for Sam Sanders and the UEA A-Kart. Another one of our drivers in the Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship. Back on Wednesday night over on the DDMM YouTube channel. 7:45 Wednesday night, GC3s at Hockenheim.
Ooh, that's a good circuit. There's all Dante pressuring down the inside, gets it done already, and the number 8 is going to follow them through as well. So Trente through on Brooks B, now through on Coventry C as well. And there goes Oxford Brooks down the inside, a little bit of side-pod contact, but that's all good. Up into third place they go. There's now Bath A take the fastest lap of the race in 10th place, and Manchester B get an ABC bump and pass for their troubles. They're in 8th as well, so they're having a really good race at the moment, but that's not going to help out their charge to the front of the field for Manchester B. As now the Trent A car squaring up on the Edinburgh A, already looking, already pressuring, already down the inside, round the final corner. Again, squeezes out the driver onto the curb. 2 laps in a row, does the same opportunistic move. And that's Dante Dillon and the Nottingham Trent A kart to the front of the field as now the Brooks B kart starts to pressure too.
Nottingham Trent B have picked up a penalty. ABC bump and pass already. Not good news with less than 5 minutes played in this one. Contact warning for Cardiff B, but Dante Dillon leads from Lucas Sullivan into Hans Hairpin. Fastest kart at the moment on the circuit is Bath A. A very solid season. They've only finished outside of the top 10 in an overall round classification once. The 7 rounds that we've completed and the qualifier back in November.
Well, they started in 23rd for this one, mate, Bath A.
Very good progress early on. I think we also saw a black flag early on for, is it Manchester B?
Has it gone to a full black flag now? Yes, you're right, it has. 2 ABC takeouts. And so Bath A, who have the fastest lap, actually already have a cone penalty as well. So despite them going through the pack, not going to matter too much as there's Sam Pooley and the Nottingham Trent B kart going down the inside at the hairpin. That's on Coventry C for 3rd place. So both of the Trent karts already up into the top 3 here. We haven't even completed 5 minutes of this race as of yet. You see a driver in the mid-pack gesticulating furiously at someone else. It was around the UEA kart, possibly the Lancaster A and Oxford A kart ahead. Bath B involved in that battle as well, so definitely one of those karts. Not too happy with the progress being made. It was the number 49, the 59 it would have been of York A, who's just massively dropped down the order, so I think I can see why they were getting frustrated there.
So pit window will be open now. The rules are as follows. Each team must do 2 mandatory pit stops across the course of the hour in the 2 windows. There's a spinner there through Hans Hairpin. In that battle, it was all around the top 10. It's one of the Premier karts with the black number board.
I think it's Edinburgh A.
29. Yes, it was Edinburgh A. So Edinburgh A, who had a great run this morning, and have actually got 3 rounds now in a row where they finished inside the top 10. The number 59 has been in for its first pit stop. That's your K.
Sorry, I was getting confused on it. It was the 49 of Coventry B who were gesticulating, and it was just as your K went in the pits of the 49 of 59. I was getting a little bit confused. Okay. That's on me, sorry.
That's all right. Nottingham Trente currently the fastest kart out on circuit. Dante Dillon with a 41.221. This has been there's a lot going on.
It's been a very sprint enduro, hasn't it? It's Coventry A now get a penalty. The ABC bump and pass. So yeah, they're coming in thick and fast, aren't they? It just seems like a sprint race at the moment, really. I'm surprised to see so many drivers coming in very, very early for their stops, though.
Yes.
A lot of drivers already coming in.
It's an interesting one round here at Clay Pigeon. I know when we've run Club 100 endurance races in the past, we've been the National Championships open to anyone who wants to compete. In some ways, yes, you want to be in a train, you want to be more than one kart in a pack and help each other along. But you very easily can lose a lot of time if the front kart of that train isn't particularly quick. And sometimes when it's a close pack, and it's early in the race, getting yourself out of that traffic, getting some clean air and some rhythm within yourself, you can see if you've got a quick driver who knows they just need to knuckle down and hit the apexes.
Extra A have just come in the pits, I'm pretty sure. They're starting to drop down the order as well.
Bath A have got a penalty, ABC takeouts.
Oh dear, yeah, that's another one. Bristol A got the same, Manchester B got the same, Coventry we already mentioned. Blimey. This is, I mean, we saw the sprint race earlier today come to an end under full course yellow because it was just getting so chaotic. I mean, we're not even 10 minutes into this race and it's pretty chaotic already. So we'll see how JV and Race Control decide they want to deal with this as the 43 and the 30 come out of the pits to rejoin the race. So 30, of course, of Cardiff B. And the 43 was Liverpool A. So all dropping down to the back of the order. But of course, that will be due to other drivers and other karts not having come in for their pit stops just yet. 62 and the 16 were having a good little battle. I just noticed there was Oxford A making their way back through. But that's actually, they were overtaking, I believe, the 16 of Sheffield A, who were about 20 positions ahead of them. So they're clearly coming out the pits and getting right on the pace immediately.
You'd hope so. There was quite a lot of variance, remember, last time we did one of these endurance rounds, John. It was back at PFI. A lot of variance in terms of teams being able to process their karts through the pit stop, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about driver changes, any setup changes, pedals, lead, etc. Do you think teams will have been working hard on that ahead of this round?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I mean, I was in BUKC for 3 years. I don't think I ever practiced that once, so... Welcome to the British Universities Karting Championship. I'll just do it as fast as I can when it comes to push comes to shove.
Don't panic is my biggest piece of advice.
I just want to quickly highlight the fact that
slower to work faster.
We saw Bath A get a ABC bumper pass penalty, then Bath B got a cone penalty, then Bath A also got a cone penalty immediately after. So the Bath drivers fighting over who can get the most penalties, huh?
Yes, that's one way of looking at it, I suppose.
Yeah.
10 minutes gone, Nottingham Trente leading by 1.3 seconds from Oxford Brooks B. As there we see, there is the aforementioned cone penalty confirmed for you on screen. Keep comments coming in. Let us know who you're supporting this afternoon. Andrew Mather and John Ratcliffe on commentary duties for you in this one. Josh Neal saying some of the teams raced in the Buckmore Park 24, and to an extent, yes, there was quite a heavy Brighton presence at the Buckmore Park 24 hour last weekend. A smattering of Sheffield in there as well, and other drivers. We should say, whilst the main season ends this weekend, it isn't the last of BUKC action in 2023's, or this academic year, we should say. BUKC 24 hours in mid-June, the weekend of the 17th and 18th of June, if I'm not mistaken. The weekend after Le Mans. It's definitely that.
I'll say everyone's going to be nice and rested.
Yeah.
And ready to go, is what you're saying.
Now looking forward to that one.
It's always a brilliant event, isn't it, BUKC 24? I've been involved with it for 2 years now, and it's always been super exciting. The racing's fantastic, and I always say of a memory of mine of driving down the sort of back straight before you get to the long sweeping right-hander that sort of goes up the banking. Yes. I remember driving down that back straight and looking up, and there was just a full moon over the top of the horizon. I was like, wow, this is great. I'm 45 minutes into my stint. My hands are just bleeding and my skin is falling off, but I'm loving it.
that'll be up at Teesside Autodrome, the team of Teesside Karting organising that one. So it won't be in the Club 100 karts. Essentially, if anyone's wondering why that is the case, engine mileage. These Rotax engines wouldn't be able to do that kind of mileage in one go. They do get regularly serviced after each one of these events, whether it's a BUKC event or a full Club 100 event.
Yes, indeed. I think we got our first black flag of the race. Oh, and we just got another one. Manchester B get 3 ABC bump and passes, and then Lancaster A get 2 of them as well. So both Manchester B and Lancaster A going to have a black flag. So, of course, across this Enduro, you've got to come into the pits twice. Well, they've got to do it 3 times now. Yep. And that third one not gaining them anything at all, not even a bit of lube on the chain.
So that's not good news for Will Kennard, who's got in contact in the comments to say, let's go 39. Well, unfortunately, the 39's heading to the pit lane for a black flag.
You've just chat-cursed them, is what you've just done.
Chat-curse confirmed. Curb warning for Bath B. So it's still Nottingham Trent A leading out front.
Yeah, they're doing a great job, aren't they, out front? Nearly 3 seconds in the good, in front of their B team and also Oxford Brook's B as well. Not very much time between those two at all, only about a 1/10 of a second as they crossed the line last time around the circuit. But just managing that gap nicely, as I've just seen Oxford Brook's B have come across the line, so I think I can visually follow them through the first sector now as they have indeed gone through. I think Sam Pooley is now ahead, so yeah, sorry, missed out on the timing, but he is indeed ahead. So last lap, Sam Pooley gets up into second, so that is so ridiculous that middle of the sprints, we were saying, wow, I think this is the first 1-2 I've seen in ages. Then the next race after we had a 1-2, and then then now 2 races after that, we've got another 1-2, this time Nottingham Trent leading this 1-2.
So this is a very intriguing scenario. And I'm going to play. I like to mix it up. You know, our viewers here on these BUKC.
You've got the cauldron. You're just
because I'm up here in a box, and if anything, I just lock the door. They can't get to me. So
it's quite warm in here, though.
It is quite warm. It's all right. We've got loads of cake and sustenance. We could last for days in here.
I might kill you at some point.
That's
true.
But that is true. So Dante was having a little bit of a discussion, shall we say?
Yes.
This one I won't go into my full thoughts on that per se on this particular occasion. I know that might surprise you, ladies and gentlemen.
Since when did you shy away from topics?
So, using B teams to benefit the A team is a thing. I've been saying for years it's a part of a title bid. That's one of probably the rarities with Exeter's this year, that they've not needed that B team support per se. But Nottingham Trent are in this very fierce battle for now the Clubman honours. It's them or Loughborough. Nobody else mathematically can do it as far as we're aware. You're at the stage of the race now where you're 3.3 seconds in the lead, but you're ahead of your own team. I wouldn't say right now because there isn't a pack on the back of Sam Pooley there. But do you start to use that B team as a bit of a buffer now you're in this position and open up that gap for Nottingham Trent A to hopefully win this race in their eyes?
It's such a difficult,
play the sportsmanship
difficult thing, isn't it? Well, I mean, Nottingham Trent A at the moment have good enough pace where they are naturally extending the gap anyway, and Trent B are naturally extending the gap over Brooksby. I don't think, especially this early on in the race, it's needing to be a case of backing them up into Brooks B. Or, sorry, Trent B backing themselves up, as there's a bit of contact there in the first corner. That was Surrey A getting forced out quite wide there through the first couple of corners. It was well held, but drops to the back of this train of 4 or 5 carts. As down the inside, I think that is Exeter actually moving their way up and past, as Oxford Brooks C now make their way into the pits from 3rd place. But yeah, this is, I think at the moment, just like nice. We're both in 1-2. This is the perfect position to be in. We can just keep in this position, keep pushing through. If something then comes to us at the end of the race, Brooks B or any other cart suddenly gets a lot of waft and can chase us down, then the B cart is there to make a serious defensive moves and allow for that A cart to try and bounce away a little bit before they're inevitably attacked as well. So perfect for strategy, but at the moment, just run your own race and see how it goes. I think is the way to go.
I probably agree. Good points there. Birmingham A having a nice run a bit at the moment. So this circuit hasn't been a great one for them over the years from memory for sprints, but they have had some endurance joy here in the past. I think it's because it takes them a while to wake up.
Okay.
Should explain to viewers I am ex-Birmingham, so I am allowed to chastise them as much as I want.
I'd allow you to do that anyway, so go for it. Be my guest. Be as rude to Cardiff as you would like.
I couldn't be rude to Cardiff.
It does feel like you're bullying a child when you're saying rude things to Fraser Brunson.
Well, there were quite a few years where I referred to anyone dropping down the order spectacularly as doing a Cardiff.
Yeah,
they suffered enough for enough years.
Yeah, we suffered for a good 4 or 5 years now. I should say there's no we. I'm no longer involved. But yeah, they're making up for the time that I was in it where we were crap, basically.
So Leeds A here, 11th place for them at the moment. Well, make that 9th as pit stops start to cycle through, including Birmingham A. They've upset them so much they've gone into the pits.
Just get as far away from you as possible.
Yeah, it's understandable.
It probably is actually the entrance to the pits, I would say. It's,
now, I think that could be quite a good move, because I've just seen Sheffield A come through. Barnett at the wheel for them at the moment. The problem is you now, if you've stayed out long, because we should mention, of course, that there's 2 windows here. You can't just do 2 pit stops whenever you want. You've got to do one of them in window 1 and one of them in window 2. And there's benefits to going short, doing a short 5 minutes, and then running out long to the end of window 2. There's various different ways you can cut the strategy on this, but when you go long in the first window, the risk is you then start hitting traffic, and that's what I think the problem is now for Sheffield A. Yeah, they just lost about 7/10 relative to Nottingham Trent A as Brooks B opts to come in and serve their first pit stop. They've got to do it before the 25-minute point of the race, so we're only 5 minutes off that. And I like that move from Birmingham to pull in, get the pit stop done before you start then hitting the traffic and those who've pitted earlier than you and are naturally a bit further down the road.
Yeah, exactly. I think the best way to play it strategically, especially if you're out of the front and you can see the clear air, is when obviously people are going to be pitting from 5 minutes in, so you're going to be coming up on some people quicker than you would in a sprint race. But you'd hope that they're a little bit spaced out still, so you want to wait until maybe you come up on a big gaggle where you know you're going to lose quite a bit of time, and then immediately try and dive in the pits before you even get yourself involved with it.
There's Sam Sanders, not Mika Hakkinen. At University of East Anglia, still a relatively new addition to the BUKC. They've come up through the ranks, strong team for them, running in 4th place at the moment in this one, just ahead of Coventry C, and Edinburgh A have recovered back in, as into the pit, I think, has come Dante Dillon. So, Nottingham Trent A in. Now, the question I've got today is this going to be another Dante Dillon solo effort like we saw at Paul Fletcher International? Pretty hard to do, of course, but not... Perhaps not as physical, and yes, he had. So Dante has gone back out again. So I do think this is going to be another solo run from Dante in this race, which they are allowed to do under the current set of regulations.
Had a little bit of backlash for a few people.
Yeah, I can see the arguments for and against. I know those points will be considered for next year's rule set, but the rules are what we've got for this year. Everybody knows them. Everybody could apply this same strategy. It's up to them whether they do or not. But in and out, so they've re-emerged. What would you say? They're about 4 seconds ahead of Brooks B. 5.8 now to be exact. So they've pulled out a bit of a gap over Brooks B.
There's Trent B now in the pits, it seems.
Yep, so good cycling of the pit stops and the work there by the team. A few minutes to go until the window, and that's a sensible strategy, I feel, John, in the position that they're in, because okay, if you want to run long, ideally you'd pit just before the window closes, but the risk with that is that if there's other carts that are also doing that and only 2 fuel bowsers, you don't want to be cart number 3 approaching the pits and then losing a load of time. So they've got this lead, they're race managing at the moment. They've just come in a little bit earlier to make sure that they're not going to end up stacking behind others. I like that. That's good work by Nottingham Trent.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do if you get stuck. It just means you have to wait until the bowser's done, and you can move your way into the refueling position. So that's another part of the strategy of these BUKC Enduros.
And with it being only an hour as well, it's not like per se the Bookman Park 24 hours last weekend where a team may have that happen to them, as we saw in the first couple of hours, and you go, oh well, bit of bad luck, but you know, it'll probably all shake out. The chances of probability and all of that business across the course of 24 hours, no, not in one of these. If you mess up on one of your pit stops, that's a race win out the window.
Yeah. Next, if you're stuck behind the fuel bowser for 5, maybe even 10 seconds, how long it takes to make up that kind of time on circuit is just monstrous. So it can really be won or lost, as you say, in these pit stops in the Enduros. And of course, it makes it even more difficult for the teams, because I'd say most, if not all teams, not running any sort of team radio or anything. So difficult to communicate, right, we want you in, but also don't come in if someone else is already in, 2 people are already in, I don't know what's going on.
And it's a very, very short...
Super short, yeah.
Super short chicken run, as we call them, to the box. You're straight off driver's left through the final corner. You go through a shed. You go through a scrutineering shed here, which is a bit different. And then you're on the fuel bowsers.
Yeah.
And if you've got only one team member kind of trying to look in 3 places at once of where is my team, where is my cart, where is anybody else in that chicken run, it's very, very easy to go, oh dear, someone sneaked in there just as I turned my head and I didn't see them, and we've ended up being that 3rd cart in and being in a stacking situation. That hasn't been the case for Nottingham Trent A. Although, interestingly, Nottingham Trent B did lose a little bit of time there, John, because they're now 12.3 seconds behind their teammates in the
quite a lot of time, yeah. So possibly, like you were saying, trying to avoid a stack nearing the end of the session, but possibly others thinking the same and then causing a stack.
So, first pit window closes in 30 seconds time. So what you've now got on your screens, ladies and gentlemen, is a fairly representative order of how this race is looking. Nottingham Trent A leading by 5.6 seconds ahead of Oxford Brooks B. Exeter A in 3rd, Leeds A in 4th. Good run so far for Leeds, and Bath A 5th. Talking about our battle for 2nd place, Oxford Brooks A have emerged from the first period of this race in the top 10. Top 10 covered by just under 19 seconds. A useful amount there. All those teams, I would say, are still in this. As, oh dear, now there's a cart that's not in this anymore. Off, where is that at?
It's down there.
It's down.
Yeah, Billy's blind.
Billy's on the exit to Billy's blind.
Proper nestle himself in the cart wall.
99 that's off the road of Bath B. Now, I'm going to talk about the Abyss again, because I think I reckon that's one of those where drivers just run a little bit wide, and at just the point where you'd expect everything to grip back up again and get back on circuit, that very slight gradient down into the grass has just caught Bath B's driver out. And then once you're on the grass, remember we've had a lot of rain here over the last couple of days. it's just a point of no return and they've ended up in the wall. But the driver looks okay though, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, up and out of the kart, just more dejected that he's practically out of the race now. If he does get the kart back underway and going, he's going to be a number of laps down as that driver, sadly.
Yeah, Bathby currently down in 32nd position. Keep your comments coming in if you're watching from home, or even if you're not watching, wherever you're watching from. Let us know where you're watching from around the world. Penalty for UClan A for forcing a driver wide. So they join the list of teams who cannot win this race now because they've got a penalty.
It's a long list. Very long list of teams. The penalties and black flags have been consistently coming in throughout this one. To be fair, it's held off for the last few minutes, I would say. The last one I saw come through was a black flag for commentary A. That was a little while ago now. Nearly 10 minutes ago now, that one. And only a few penalties since. Birmingham A, ABC takeout. So that's a team who definitely don't need any penalties. Same with UClan A, forcing driver wide. Penalty for that one as well. So Exeter A now with the fastest lap of the race. That happened on lap 29, so again a few laps ago. Around the sort of end of the pit stop window. But we've moved past that now, and we're nearly halfway into this first Enduro of the day already. Nottingham Trent A still commanding the race very nicely. It was 5 seconds actually as they come across the line there. Dropped by about half a second. So Oxford Brooks B possibly beginning to close the gap. They've still got a little bit of a while, just over 5 minutes or so until the next pit stop window will open. And of course then the order will be rejigged again, and I will again have no idea what is going on.
Track limit warning for Loughborough A. That's the other karts that we're looking out for in terms of our clubman battle. They're down in 23rd place at the moment, Loughborough A. It's good news for Nottingham Trent at the front of the order. There's Jensen Brown, Exeter A. How good a feeling will this be? Sun's out, championship already won for them, of course. Another round win this morning. I'll put the question to the masses watching from around the world. Have we seen a better team than this in the BUKC? I can think of a few contenders for that title over the years. Man down in
it was sorry, I just noticed someone was off down at the hairpin. It was Birmingham A.
Ooh,
Birmingham A had gone off. They were off for a long time. They've just rejoined. And there they come across the... No, they still haven't come across the line. They're still dropping down the order. They're still dropping down the order. And there they are then in 22nd place for Birmingham A.
That's probably the end of Birmingham A's faint hopes of getting on the overall podium in this year's BUKC. They entered this round, by our calculations, 8th in the standings. They needed a stellar round this afternoon to pull themselves up into the top 3. That is not going to happen now, as Leeds, Kieran Harrison having a bit of a moment there. This is all around 3rd place. This is not all of them running for position. Oxford Brooks B in there, as well as Bristol A, are going to have to make an extra visit to the pit lane for a black flag penalty.
So a Trent B as well.
Changed for 2nd place there, confirmed on your screen. So Exeter A now into 2nd spot, Brooks B down to 3rd, Leeds A 4th. I tell you what, John, that pack, I know they're scrapping at the moment, they are closing in, because Trent B, who we mentioned didn't have a great pit stop, were 12 seconds back, are now 8.8 back. Is this a bit of...
But they've got a black flag.
But they have got a black flag. But
so it doesn't matter.
The point I'm thinking here is Dante Dillon starting to tire a little bit? Has he got a problem, or is he just saving himself, knowing he's got a 6.7 lead at the moment, he doesn't need to push?
I can't imagine that it's ever tiredness coming to Dante Dillon, the amount of kart racing he does. Surely it can't be tired. He's surely just backing it off, realising he's got a good gap.
Yeah.
Don't need to push right now. Don't need to do anything crazy. I'm just going to pick off the back markers as they come to me and continue on moving forward. Now, another thing to mention, Oxford Brooks B forcing driver wide penalty.
Okay.
So they can't win anymore.
Yeah.
They're in third place at the moment. They can no longer win this race. And then also, just come through as well. Is that another penalty for Brooks? No, it's just a replay, sorry, of the Brooksby penalty. And there was a black bag for Birmingham A and a black bag for Bristol A, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So, as I said, the penalties and black flags are dying down. They've come back with a vengeance.
I think it's second drivers coming out.
Possibly, yeah, you might be right there.
And getting themselves used to things, but they do need to tidy it up a little bit here. Oh, it's off. There's an incident on the exit of the S's. 2 karts involved. The number 62 is one of them, and there's another kart facing the wrong way at the moment, starting through on the sausage curl. That could get the attention of the observers, and of all observers, Mr. John Weigert was staring right at that.
JB does not like you restarting on a sausage. Hates it, in fact.
28 minutes to go. Another black flag coming in.
See him on the microphone. Get that guy.
I can understand.
Yeah, I can understand.
Apologies, we didn't quite catch which kart it was who was also involved in the spin. I recognise the helmet. It was the number 50. So Coventry C, I reckon, might be having a visit to pit lane that they weren't planning for. So I think that was in either a full course yellow. Okay, so this is what we saw this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Another race control.
Oh, another black flag just came in for Bath B, I was going to say. So I think, that's just it's set off race control. Right, this is just silly. We're stopping the race.
So we saw in race 2 the pack form up into one long train. Did we not? It created a very exciting, very dramatic last 4 or 5 minutes of that race, which actually then ended up back under full course yellow. Is this going to bunch the pack up? And I think the answer is yes to the question that I'm about to answer for myself. Is that 7.5 second lead for Dante Dillon about to disappear?
Yeah, it certainly will. There'll be someone who's further down the order who maybe doesn't quite understand how fast they need to go under full course yellow, or of course being careful but not just going super slowly. But actually Dante's going quite slowly.
I'm going to throw it in the melting pot.
I think I know what you're about to say.
Is Dante Dillon learning a little bit here from what we saw in race 2? Because what we ended up having happen is there was a kart, it was Uclan, wasn't it? They were around 23rd, 24th position. They effectively became a safety kart, dropped completely off the back of the kart that they were chasing. And we ended up with a scenario where the leaders were in amongst teams that they were lapping. And we saw a lot of penalties, a lot of contact. Has Dante played a very sensible thing here? He's going to go, I'm going to forego my 7.5 second lead. But as the leader, I want to control the restart of this race. I don't want to be fighting through a load of back markers, then potentially picking up, you know, a +4 penalty because it's all a bit chaotic. I want to be the front of the order and then just dart off the front when this goes back to green. It sounds counterproductive. He's given up a big lead here. He can't be overtaken at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, because we're under full course yellow. But I think this is a really sensible play from Dante. He's going to be able to control. He's got to have a clear track in front of him when we go back to green and can then race off the front.
Yeah, this just shows there's levels to this.
And he's got traffic. He's got people between himself and Jensen Brown in the number 2.
Yeah.
He knows that. He's looking his shoulder now going, right, what situation have I got behind me here?
To look now, he's slowing up, slowing up, like properly slowing up to a crawl here.
Someone's spun off, I think it's one of the club carts has spun off under
because we're
flag.
Nearly coming to a stop because Dante's going so slowly, so some of the drivers
a little bit careful here that he doesn't completely take this a little bit too far. Unless, are they being... No, I don't think they're being stopped.
Someone tried to go in the pits and was immediately told, no, you can't do that. Are we going? I don't think Dante even knows if we're going.
Red flag. Red flag has come out. So we have stopped the race. And I think this is going to be for another rebriefing.
I think you could be correct.
A rebriefing.
Well, as we were chatting about...
Rebriefing. I haven't got...
that was just...
a brain freeze, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, it hasn't worked out because we've gone to red flag, yes.
Yeah.
But that was so smart from Dante Dillon. I'm so impressed. And as I'm saying, this just shows how there's levels to this. Like, you can be super pacey, be right up there at the front, but to have the awareness of the whole situation, to think, right, okay, I'm going to forgive my gap here to get this track position and control the start, that blows my mind.
You could say he's still going to have that advantage.
Very true, yes.
Should the race, and I use the word should.
Should.
We'll see what the decision from race control is. Should this race restart, as far as I'm aware, it will be a single file restart.
Yes. No, I do believe so.
So we'll still have that position of being able to control.
You make a fair point, and still got those couple of back markers in between them as well.
I've not seen this in a few years. Everybody at home, I've seen it happen at the qualifiers before. I can't remember it happening in the mains round, which is a little bit disappointing to say the least. So the field now forms up in one single train. I suspect the drivers will hop out the cart. Time will tick on, by the way. I don't think they're going to stop the clock here. And I think what you're about to see here is all the drivers pulled out the carts and be given a bit of a dressing down collectively by the race director.
A couple of drivers at the back already up and out of the carts. I think know what's coming. Bit of a telling off. But yeah, understandably so. I mean, that our systems couldn't keep up with the amount of warnings, penalties, and black flags coming through. And
that's the point. You know, having done a little bit of observing myself for John and the team, the key thing to realise, ladies and gentlemen watching from home, this isn't an overreaction, I would say, and this is why. You've got a team of 4, 5, 6 observers around the circuit. They all need to individually be able to report into race control what they're seeing, essentially, for race control then to be officiated. Now, if you've got a scenario where there's so many things going on that 2, 3, 4 observers are all trying to report into race control at the same time, the simple technology of the radio frequencies, everyone then starts talking over one another. It's not the fault of the observers. They don't know that everything else is going out on circuit. They're just trying to get their observations back to race control as quickly as possible to not have, delays like we see ridiculously in Formula 1 with penalties and stuff like that. And if race control on their side are going, we can't take all of this information in, you then can't run a race properly. It's where, again, different to Formula 1, we haven't got 40, 50 cameras around the circuit on boards to then review and scrutinise over 30 laps whether someone exceeded track limits or not. The decision's got to be made in the there and then with the technology that we've got at this level. So I can fully understand why that red flag has been called in that scenario, because we could see we were struggling to keep up with the ones that were simply being reported here in the box. So I can fully understand why that has been the case, and I hear in my ear from Adam Chapman down in the Alpha Live room that has been called. That race will not restart,
which I can understand from the side of race control in that, as you were just explaining how difficult it is when all that starts kicking off.
Yeah,
of course it is frustrating for the drivers as well, because we were only just getting into that second window, weren't we? So possibly some of the second drivers for the teams that are out there didn't even get to go in the kart there, possibly.
And to put yourself, to try and explain to those who are not aware, I'll go back into the position of being previously as an observer. If you're not able to report in what you've seen, you may well see a secondary incident, a third incident, a fourth incident, and you're relying on the memory of your own brain to go, which car number was that I saw 4 or 5 minutes ago that did something not very good? I can't remember.
I can't rely on my brain that much.
You can't do it, essentially. So I understand why that race has been called. Unfortunate, not good from the driver's perspective that they've allowed it to get to that level. I'll be honest, they should all know better.
I mean, especially after the re-education earlier today, you would hope so. Everyone's going to be excited going into the final round of the weekend, but yeah, a tough one. I mean,
Well, Reeve's back. Hello, Reeve.
Hello, good to be back. Hopefully you can hear me.
You can hear you. We can hear
stuff.
So no, you're all good.
But yes, I was just having a bit of a listen in then to the very brief rebriefing that JV gave the whole grid there, and it was effectively, as we were saying, it was just, you know what you were doing wrong. You should be able to race without major contact. As a result, out you all get. In goes race 2. Let's see if it gets any better.
Yeah, and that was the right time to call it, because I've checked before to make this statement.
It was around 30 minutes, I think, wasn't it? Just over, I want to say.
Yeah, so we were at that point where there wouldn't be anyone complaining that, oh, well, we've made our second pit stop and the team has not. So, yeah, good call. We're going to take a short break here on the commentary and be back in a few moments' time with Piers Pryor down in the paddock.
Side by side, who's going to be the bigger man? Oh, big off! Straight in the gravel trap, both cars out.
Is it going to work for Sean? He slides up the inside, it's getting very close, he's not made it.
Have you ever seen a championship decided like that?
Not an ideal start this afternoon. However, we go again, race number 2, and hopefully everyone will be driving at their absolute best standards. And let's start off with the drivers at the front. Let's have a word. Guys, what's your plan for the race? Is it to drive a little bit better than everyone else did in the previous one?
Yeah, I mean, it seems with some of these endurance races, it's been, if you keep it clean, then you'll do all right.
So you're going to have an easier job of keeping it clean than most. I hear is this pole? I keep forgetting. Pole position or second?
This is pole.
This is pole?
Yeah, I don't know though, because, you know, if it's quite tight into the chicane, then we'll have what happened earlier where someone goes wide and you end up with a penalty. It's tricky. You never know what's going to happen.
You do never know. Remind us who you are and who you're racing for.
I'm Sam. I'm racing for Southampton B.
Southampton B. And have you got any words of wisdom for the rest of the grid behind you?
If anything, they should be giving words of wisdom to me.
There you go, Sam. Great to chat. Good luck. Let's wander down. We've got number 2, the extra car. Are you jumping in or are you in the wrong place? You just came out. Oh, and we're in the way of the fuel Bowser now. But anyway, P2.
Yeah, P2. I reckon we could have won that. Our kart was pretty incredible, and I think we were catching Trent, and Max was yet to go in. So, I mean, it's a shame because other people kind of ruined our chances at a win. But
another podium though for Extra 8.
Yeah. I mean, Sam and Ethan just have to finish the job, and then hopefully we'll be on the podium again for the round. So
that would be good fun, wouldn't it? Another podium for Extra would be fitting, I think, considering their amazing run of form this season. Let's have a word around here. Let's wander around this side of the grid. Number 5. Remind us who you are and who you're racing for.
Leeds A.
Leeds A. So Leeds A. We've got quite a lot of Leeds camera people. Yeah. We haven't actually caught up with you much this year. How's it going to go in this one?
It's going to be too bad. We're hoping to continue the 4th we just got in that last one. Yes.
Hopefully we'll be driving a bit longer this time though.
Yes, hopefully we'll get a second driver a go. Yeah, so we should be starting 8th. We had the pace in the first one and I led for about 10 minutes, so should do all right.
It's a longer race. You fit and healthy and ready to go?
Yeah, hopefully.
Your little arms won't fall off?
No, not all.
Not at all. He's a hard man. We know that. Everyone up north are built different, aren't they? Giulio Peroni, team captain, Loughborough. Giulio, what are we thinking, mate? How's this race going to go for you?
Hopefully well, I would hope. I mean, the last one went quite well, except for the first corner, so if we can just fix that bit, we'll be...
Right, you're starting, what's that, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9th?
Yeah.
You're going to go well from here? I reckon you could have a good chance of this one. It's dried out, it's just your sort of conditions.
Yeah, like, I mean, definitely go for a top 5 here, hope we have a good card. I went fast this last race, so... hopefully
more of the same?
Yeah, hopefully more of the same, yeah.
Giulio, Loughborough, are you Loughborough B or Loughborough A?
Now I'm Loughborough A.
So in this one, you're Loughborough A. Okay, good. Go well, Julio. Go well. Of course, I'm a Loughborough alumni. Let's jump on down here. Number 58. What is your name and who are you racing for?
I'm Edward. I'm racing for Loughborough.
You're Loughborough. Another Loughborough man. You must be Loughborough
D.
Loughborough D. This morning wasn't the best, but we were going round.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting used to the track and, you know, just having fun and trying to win the championship.
You're having fun, which is the main thing. That's why we're all here. Of course, having fun and trying not to damage JV's karts. Hopefully we'll get a full race if we all behave ourselves. What's your plan for the first lap? Of course, you're well in the mix. There's karts everywhere. Generally, it's been pretty carnage today. What are you thinking?
So our plan is to get as many places as possible.
How are we going to do that?
By respecting the rules.
Exactly. Did you hear that? There you go. Respecting the rules. Little tip for you. Turn 1, just go really narrow, like on the exit. Everyone washes wide.
We'll use that. Thank you very much.
Definitely. So it's one tip from a Loughborough driver to another. Right, let's further down the grid. Who can we chat to next? This has been it's been good actually. We've had a little bit of extra time. Some running repairs going on here. This kart looks like it's been through the walls today. Are you about to jump in?
Yeah, I noticed that. Thanks.
You're welcome. You are number 14. Who are you racing for? What's your name?
X to B, Toby McDonald.
Oh, we spoke to you earlier.
Yes.
Yes, we did. Sorry, I didn't recognise you without your helmet on.
First race.
Unfortunate. Yes.
Yeah, but it is what it is. Made it back as high as I could. So.
And this one, we're a bit further down the field this time.
Yeah, I mean, keep it safe, simple on the first corner. It's an endurance race after all.
It is. The drivers in race 1 could have learned from that, but I'm sure you're going to be much better in this one. Yeah, anyone you want to shout to at home?
My mum and dad watching from Greece.
From Greece?
I know.
Are they Greek or are they on holiday?
Hope they're having a good holiday. Nice and sunny.
What's mum and dad's name?
Simone and Alan.
Simone and Alan, enjoy your holiday. Thanks for tuning in to Alpha Livestream. Drop us a like and make sure you're subscribed as well. This person looks far too professional to be in a BUKC race. What's your name and who are you racing for?
Fergus Edwards, Swansea University.
Swansea, I take it all back. See you later. Right, let's go and talk to someone else. Ginger Jake. Yes. Jake, you should get a ginger helmet as well.
I mean, my next one's going to be yellow.
Anywhere in the teens? We're starting way outside of the teens at the moment.
Well, it's a long race, isn't it? Just, you know, try and make sure you're not getting any penalties. You know, it's a bit of a shit show at the minute, getting penalties left, right and centre, isn't it? So
it very much is.
Out in trouble, and you should be all right.
It's very much a hit show out there, isn't it? Thanks very much for chatting to us. Let's hopefully, I might head back this way because I think the signal might be dropping out a little bit. Let's grab a word with one more person. Any words? Any last words of wisdom for your Warwick teammate here?
Don't bin it. Try and win.
You know what? Couldn't have said it better myself. Andrew, John, or Reeve, whoever's in the comms box, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Pryor. Much appreciated. Oh, this is weird. I can hear myself outside now. This is very odd. I don't like it.
And we've got the door open as well, so it's all.
Let's close the door. I don't want to hear myself. Right, here we go then. Thank you, Mr. Pryor, for leading us through that. Chatting with some lovely drivers out there for race number 2. But let's run you through the grid then at Southampton B, who are on pole position. Alongside them is Cambridge A. Then row 2 sees Exeter A and UClan A. Row 3, Surrey A and Coventry A. Row 4 is Coventry B, then Leeds A, Loughborough A and Reading A round out the top 10. Then behind them are UCL A and Bath A. Row 7 sees De Montfort A and Loughborough D. Then it's Bristol A, Brunel A, UEA A and Warwick A. Then on row 10, rounding out the top 20, we've got a couple more teams. They are Loughborough B and Nottingham A. Then it's Exeter B and Swansea A, Southampton A and Brighton B. And row number 13, unlucky for some. Will it be unlucky for Derby A and Liverpool B? We'll have to wait and see. Then it's Brighton A and Leicester A. Then Cardiff A and Loughborough C round out your top 30 on the grid for this one. Then it's Oxford Brookes D, Birmingham B, Warwick B and Manchester A round out the 34 karts on the grid for Enduro number 2 this afternoon here at the BUKC Finals for 2023. Now, Reeve, you weren't in the commentary box for the opening Enduro of the afternoon. It was a bit of a word that your teammate used on the grid walk that we won't say again on stream, but how did you find it from trackside?
It was fascinating to watch, to be honest. I thought that it might have been a little bit cleaner after the morning's running, but yeah, as you say, back in the commentary box a little bit earlier than expected, but ready to go for race 2. Hopefully we get a full 60-minute race. That'll be good. I'd like to see a full-on endurance running. I did actually spend a little bit of time down with Liverpool guys at the pit, so it was quite fascinating to see the kind of pit strategy start to come into play. And what I have a feeling a lot of the drivers are going to do in order to try and avoid penalties this time around here in race 2 is they might be looking at just trying to get all your overtakes done on strategy. Let's just make sure that you're keeping the nose clean when you're heading into any braking zones or any corners, and just try and get those moves done in a much safer manner.
Exactly, yeah. I think that the 2 main points of this are, as we've heard many times today, keeping it out the wars, no penalties, no black flags, none of that kind of things. And then, of course, making sure that the pit stops go smoothly, as Andrew and I were mentioning during the first race. It's so difficult to gain even a couple of seconds out on circuit, but you can suddenly lose 10 or even 15 seconds in the pit stop if something goes awry, someone drops a bit of lead, you come up to the fuel bowsers and suddenly there's already 2 teams there. Anything could go wrong, so just make sure you keep your nose clean on circuit and get that pit strategy down to a T. It could all just come to you by the end of the race.
Indeed, of course, in these Enduros, not the same amount of warmth that we have in the morning, so we are pretty much ready to go.
Yes, we are. This should be very interesting. Southampton B are on pole position. Alongside them are Cambridge A. They lead us to the green lights, and we're underway here for Enduro 2 for BUKC Finals 2023. Are they all going to make it through the first couple of corners? Can't see anyone facing the wrong way. Billy's blind. No, they've all made it through cleanly as there's someone getting turned around. Luckily gets respun the correct way. One driver already takes to the grass. That's Leeds A taking to the grass. And there go the tyres indeed. Someone clips them. But not the most ideal start for Leeds as they now head down into the hairpin.
It's Southampton and Exeter as we head through the horseshoe here side by side, but eventually it is going to be a done move here.
A couple of drivers in the back just squabbling over the apex there as a cone is taken out and someone's in the wall on the exit of the horseshoe. Bright orange helmet for that driver, but I can't quite see the number from here. We'll see who doesn't come over the timing beam as they end the opening lap.
A fantastic opening lap for Coventry A, I should just mention, made up 3 positions. It's Coventry B's made up 3 positions, as have Surrey A as well. Fantastic.
They've just gone to the lead, I think, Coventry B.
Yeah, great start to the race for them.
It was Nottingham A who were in the wall. They've just managed to get out of the wall, but it's going to be a yellow flag through the horseshoe. Obviously not really an overtaking spot anyway, so not too much to worry for any of the drivers still out there facing the right direction. But Nottingham A, terrible start to the race there. First lap, and you're nearly a lap down already.
Yes, although let's not say it's all over yet. This is still a
Still
very
got 60
long
minutes,
race.
yeah.
Running then down towards Billy's blind once again, and it is still only 10 separating the front 2 here. We've got quite an interesting mid-pack battle forming up here. The front 2 are able to sort of romp away from the rest of the field, and this is allowing everyone down from around about kind of P5, P6 downwards. They are very much stuck in a bit of a battle there as we have a kart wide there. I believe that was contact causing that one. Very lucky to avoid the barriers on the inside of the circuit there.
Yeah, just keeping it out the wall, as you say. The move that we spotted earlier on in the lap was Exeter A getting through on Loughborough A.
As we have a couple of offs there at the hairpin. Yellow flags wait for a brief moment, but able to carry on with no kind of stoppage.
Yes, we saw Exeter go through on Loughborough. Then I saw Loughborough re-overtake through the middle section of the circuit. They're now both trying to get through on the 44 of Southampton B. Both go to the outside. Bit of contact between Southampton and Exeter. Exeter forced wide. We're going to have another driver try and slip through at the S's, the 34. I think there's that Bath A getting through. No, it's Reading A, my apologies, on the 34. They make it through. Exeter falling back, continuing to fall back. Loses another spot down into the hairpin. So not the ideal first part of that lap for Exeter. Pointing forward once again to the driver ahead, but the 31 just snuck through as well. That's de Montfort, so I think they're down to 8th or 9th place now, are Exeter.
Still too wide, very brave at the start of an endurance event, especially through the S's here. And now we see it is going to be Coventry B leading as we start the next lap, but very much under pressure from Surrey A, catching by corner here. As we have near enough 4 wide heading down the pit straight once again. Who's involved in that one? I can see Liverpool B. It is Swansea A, Brunel A as well.
Yeah, some great battles going on. Even that battle down at sort of the low 20s, that is, with Liverpool involved. One driver nearly forced off onto the sausage curb on the outside there. They're still staying side by side as they head down into the hairpin. But we look back a little bit further forward. battles still continuing up and down the field as we're not even 5 minutes into this race. I can't quite believe that. The battles have commenced heavily, but I will say, I think I've seen, no, not a single penalty as of yet, so I think the drivers might have listened to race control this time around, realising, okay, I might actually lose my race here if I do something silly, so let's just continue.
Yes, let's not commentators curse that. We have had
okay, fair point.
We have had a few contact warnings
shut up.
so far, but as you say, yeah, no penalties. Yeah, I imagine the driver is going to be a little bit more cautious in terms of curbs because they'll be thinking, maybe I should start looking after the cart just a little bit better. It's not quite a 24-hour race. There's not there's going to be major servicing required in this 1 hour, effectively sprint in comparison to a 24, but still big accident there on the exit of the Horseshoe. Who is that spun around? That is the number 21 car, I believe. He's trying to find a safe opportunity to rejoin the track and will rejoin in last position.
It was the 14 of X to B who went up the inside. No, you were right on your number. They then took out that driver you were talking about. So they went up the inside, bit of contact on the entrance to the Horseshoe, and then chaos ensued behind as they all sort of tried to take avoiding action to either side. But all drivers continuing, as you say, a couple falling down the order. That's just what you've got to be careful of during an enduro. Not only making sure you're going for those moves concisely, but fairly respecting your other drivers.
Our first penalty, advantage by contact, Birmingham B, number 37, currently running in 17th, so they'll be dropping down as a result of that. And that will weigh, of course, in a longer race like this. That will weigh on you. You'll start to think, you'll have an opportunity to start thinking, you know, how many penalties have I potentially got impending? How am I going to try and negate the effects of that as best as possible? We have advantage as well for that number 11 car, Warwick A. Again, it's a bump and pass as well, so a couple of penalties. Now curb warnings as well. Leeds A, the number 5 car there, wants to try and avoid the bumpy stuff in order to get the cart home.
So what you're saying there is I did just commentators curse the penalties?
Yes,
okay, cool.
Entirely.
Lovely, thank you. Sorry to, who was it, Warwick and Birmingham, my apologies. But hey, it's not down to me if you get penalties, that's all down to you. I take no responsibility.
Now, of course, one thing we do have to consider in the slightly longer races is the fuel stop situation. So
yes,
this is where a bit of strategy comes into it in a little moment's time.
Yeah, it's odd. It's already actually started, I think, from 55 minutes in. There's a yellow flag. Is that someone off down at Billy's Blind? It is. One of our black-plated Prem carts, so I'll just double-check as they come through the S's as to exactly who that was. I thought it was the 14, and it is the 14 who's had a little bit of an off there. Looking further down the order, but I don't think they are further down the order, as I can't even see that number, so maybe I'm reading it wrong. Double check as they continue. It is the 14 of X to B. I have just spotted them out the corner of my eye. So X to B, we saw them getting in a bit of a kerfuffle earlier through the Horseshoe. Now finding the barrier down at the first corner. So they're going to continue this race, but much further down than they would have liked. But yeah, as we were just saying, that the fuel stops are all starting. It's a little bit odd in the BUKC that they start so early, only 5 minutes into the race, and you've already got a 20-minute fuel window coming up.
It's to give, I think it's to give every competitor an opportunity to either make it on the strategy or to break it as well, because you've got to try and, with 1 hour's running going, you've got to try and truncate, all of the kind of permutations of a long endurance race into that 1 hour. So it's to give a bit of excitement, a bit of a chance for strategy to play a part as well.
Exactly, something we don't really see with the sprint racing, do we? It's sort of just like lights out, go for 25 minutes, just do everything you can to gain any sort of positions. Of course, with it being a 25-minute sprint, often if you're watching BUKC for the first time and you've only ever watched other sort of karting, you would say 25 minutes, that's not a sprint, that's super long. We usually see 6, 8, 12, maybe 15-minute sprints, but even that's pushing it. So for 25 minutes, it doesn't seem like a sprint. So maybe a little bit more strategy in how you play your race in that 25-minute sprint, but 60 whole minutes just brings something completely new to the table.
You start thinking about the kart as well. Can you imagine if we had to run a full day of 6 or 8 minute races, how long Andrew would spend glued to his spreadsheet trying to figure out who is ineligible? I'll try and say that again.
We wouldn't hear him saying anything, would we?
No.
He'd just be the spreadsheet man for the day. Which, I mean, he basically is anyway, isn't he? But we let him talk sometimes.
Yeah, he does both jobs at the same time. Very impressive. I certainly couldn't. I'd be immediately lost as soon as I looked at that spreadsheet. The spreadsheet of doom is a confusing bit of data.
I never liked ICT.
So then Coventry B still leading at this point in time. Got a nice gap, actually. It's good to get a 2-second gap. We're less than 10 minutes into this race, and it's looking good for them at this point in time. In terms of pace at the moment, a 41.3 on that last lap, and they are the fastest kart on track at this point in time. So lapping very nicely indeed.
Yeah, really nicely. Obviously unusual to maybe see a B-team kart right at the top of the pecking order, but
we're on board here with, speaking of B-team kart, Liverpool B up against Derby A here. Derby A has a couple of warnings to their name, I believe, but no penalties as such, and very much putting the pressure on Jonathan Pinder, the number 76 kart there up ahead.
They're having a great battle, aren't they? Oh, a bit of contact there on the exit. The Liverpool man is going to take advantage of that, up and round the outside, and now looking to pressure the driver ahead as well. As they head through the final corner now. I'm just trying to spot who it is ahead. It's the 37 of Birmingham B who are just ahead. So this is a battle. Well, it was over 13th. Now as a couple of drivers come into the pits, it's now over 11th. So Birmingham B ahead of Liverpool B, then Southampton B, and Derby A involved in this battle as well. And it's not really very far back to Loughborough C either. So although we're in an endurance race, I know we're only 10 minutes in, but the gap of the field certainly hasn't spread out hugely, just as of yet anyway.
No, I think you're going to have a hard time telling these guys to start maybe thinking about looking after the cars, maybe start playing a little bit safer. These guys are always going to go full chat as soon as you get them into the kart anyway.
Sorry, I'm just... I suddenly saw someone in the Cardiff kart that I didn't think was supposed to be in, and then I've seen someone else in the same kart, and now I'm trying to work out what the strategy is going for the Cardiff A kart. So keeping that to myself as Liverpool
putting
B.
The pressure on
Is it Liverpool B or Liverpool A?
It's Liverpool B putting the pressure on Birmingham B now.
They are piling the pressure on, aren't they?
Yeah, settled into a good groove here. Same comp as had for a race 5 in the morning, but we're seeing strong performance from Liverpool B here in the second endurance event. Meanwhile, I was about to say Warwick A. I've just set the fast lap of the race so far. However, Manchester are going to take that away from them. They're going to take that glory away from them now. A 41.0. So we're going to be into the high 40s at some point in the next couple of laps. Very impressive running so far.
Just as you said that as well, Manchester overtook Exeter A for 6th place as well. So whoever's in that Manchester kart clearly got the bit between their teeth here, and they are pressing on forward. We've got a big off down at the hairpin. Someone has absolutely nestled themselves in the barrier down at the bottom there. That's going to be quite the job to get them out of it, but we've got yellow flags all the way from the exit of Billy's Blind down to the exit of the hairpin.
So this neutralises the race, tells the drivers that they need to slow down just a little bit, no overtaking through that sector. And I feel like we should have Andrew, our resident hairpin wall planting expert, for this one, really, as he's no stranger to that barrier or the other side of it.
Yes. No, you make a fair point. But to be fair, under yellow flag conditions in BUKC, I mean, I don't know if they've changed the rules since I was last in it, but of course over the full course yellow, yeah, it's very much slow down, 50% race pace or even less. When it's yellow flags just over one area of the circuit, usually anyway what everyone would do is go completely flat out, but put your hand up and say, I have seen this yellow flag, I know what's going on, but I'm not losing any time out on circuit because of it. And from watching from the outside, that seems like that's exactly what the drivers are doing as well. But as long as you're not racing, you're not overtaking, you can still go at your race pace and be in control of the kart, then that's good enough for me, and I think all good for the stewards as well as the kind marshals down here at Clay Pigeon Raceway get that barrier sorted as soon as possible.
You see then Liverpool B and Birmingham B side by side alongside each other, heading down that pitch straight once again, thinking about a move. Wasn't going to stick quite yet. Potentially under threat from Derby 8, now carrying a penalty. In fact, that's a second penalty for contact as well for Derby 8.
Yes. Yeah, it was Derby 8 were trying to. They got a good exit. They could have got Liverpool down into the S's. Quickly realised, oh, there's a yellow flag here, and backed off and let Liverpool back through. But yeah, this battle not stopping any time soon, is it, between these 3 or 4 karts? Down just outside of the top 10 at the moment, these 4.
And I'm sure it'll be quite interesting for some of the team captains or the guys who've agreed on strategy for the race. Of course, we didn't get full running in race 1. That means we don't quite know what the fastest way to run these races are. We know we're going to have 2 fuel stops. We're going to have 2 pit windows. However, unless I'm mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong.
You are correct.
Yes. But we don't know the quickest way or when to lap, or when to pit rather. So it'll be interesting to see the later stage of this race.
Indeed it will. Yeah, the pit strategy proving very interesting, because I know the usual one of if you've got a really fast driver is to sort of have them in for most of the race and then right near the dying parts of the race, get them out, chuck in the other driver and just send them out for the last few minutes. But as Andrew was saying, the undercut can be quite strong here, so possibly flipping that strategy could be a good one, as we're already well into the first pit stop window, so if you're trying that strategy, that's already gone. You remember that for race 3 though, for you, if you recall well enough. But a lot of drivers throughout the field just playing their own strategy, and that's why it can often mean in these Enduros we can watch good battles throughout. However, only really starts to come into play and everything starts to make sense when we get into the last 5 or 10 minutes or so. So that was a good move down to the first corner as well. Drivers still going side by side throughout. Billy's blind.
I think we may have just seen an example of the undercut come into play here, because Cardiff A are running very quickly indeed, but have dropped back all the way down to 30. Oh,
I did not want you to talk about that.
Apologies. I'll hand that over to you.
Well, you've let the cat out of the bag now. Yeah, Fraser Brunton is indeed in the Cardiff A kart. Yeah, so that's kind of what I was trying to mention without saying it was the Cardiff team. But yeah, one of our slower drivers has gone out in the kart for the opening stint, then has immediately come in at the earliest opportunity, and Fraser has got in the kart, and Fraser will then be doing the last 55 minutes.
You see, at Liverpool, we only have fast drivers.
Oh, yeah, of
Definitely,
course.
yeah.
Of course.
That's why I'm not with them anymore. So
I was about to make that same joke, and I thought it would be rude if I did it.
No, it's very much true. I'm not driving for them, so much quicker drivers now. Overall, average team pace has improved substantially.
What, since you left?
Yes.
But yeah, like you were saying though, I mean, not to blow smoke, but yeah, Fraser really is laying down the gauntlet with the times out there. Fastest laps going the way of himself. I think, is he the only driver? Yes, he is the only driver in the 40s, and he's on a 40.848 as Fraser Brunton in the Cardiff A kart, so he's definitely one to watch. Down in 30th at the moment. Of course, a few drivers won't have taken their pit stops just yet, but also, I think he had a start down in about 28th, 29th, so just looking to work his way up. He's got a lot of time to do it, but quite a bit of work to do, so we'll keep an eye out on that for sure. This is so weird, okay? We said earlier on today we hadn't seen a 1-2. This is now the 4th I've seen today.
I knew that was going to happen.
The
second
4th.
you mentioned. Yeah.
Coventry B are leading and Coventry A are in second.
Yeah, they're doing a fantastic job out there. There's a 5-second gap. That will be, I'm sure, a great or great sight to behold for the BUKC captain of the Coventry squad, because he doesn't have to do any difficult team orders. He can just let them come home.
Well, now you have a bit of A team is faster than you, don't you? Just let them through. Let them through.
You understood the message.
Although Coventry B just did a personal best, and it was faster than the quickest lap even of the Coventry A kart. So maybe no team orders need to come in it, and if the Coventry B driver can keep that 5-second gap or even continue to extend it, then no team orders can happen when you're 5 seconds out in the lead.
Yeah, great drive up at the front there, almost dipping into the 40s as well. Loughborough looking quite comfortable as well. Potentially a bit of a threat from Reading A behind, but again, running quite nicely. Have a nice gap up in front. They've got someone to kind of vaguely follow in the distance there, but
just as you said, that Reading A came in the pits. So
that is very true. So it's been made even more comfortable now. So you're welcome for that one, Loughborough.
Yeah, no, running well, aren't they? And you've actually got all 3 Loughborough teams in the top 10. Loughborough A in 3rd, Loughborough C in 7th, and Loughborough B in 8th. So there's some more team orders for you.
Yeah,
see if any of that happens. But of course, to remind you, the B team kart, the one with the black plate in the Prem's class, their actual A team as such, their top team, actually the lowest down of the 3 in this race, funnily enough. So have to see how that one plays out, but of course could have had a bit of a lower start, and now they're all sort of just coming together in the middle of this first pit stop window. But still over 40 minutes left to go in this one.
Another penalty for Derby A there.
Oh dear.
Once again.
Is that commentator's curse coming over from previous races, because we were talking about how well they were doing earlier on today? Then they got loads of penalties and did badly in that race, and then now they're continuing it here, sadly.
Quite possibly. Although I'm sure we're probably not the Derby squad's best friends at the moment, because
sorry, Derby.
We can be heard on the PA.
They can hear us on the PA now. Sorry, Derby.
We're very sorry. We keep mentioning your penalties.
You sounded so sincere there, mate. It was amazing. As always, that Coventry B in the pits. Yes, it is. So our leader has come into the pits then for their opening pit stop of the day. Just closing in on 40 minutes left to go, and first pit stop window open from 5 minutes to 25 minutes into the race. So another just over 6 minutes of pit window left to go for these opening drivers. Of course, it's up to the drivers and the teams to decide whether they change the driver over in the first pit stop window or the second. Of course, when you're doing the driver change, you also need to, well, exchange all of your lead and seat inserts if you have those as well. But the marshals will top you up with fuel and give you a bit of a chain lube, and also you need to do that in the other stop as well, where you don't change drivers. So all can get very confusing, especially when you haven't done one in a while. It can all get a bit much, and suddenly you can throw 5, 10, 15 seconds away in the pit stop when something goes awry. So really good to get that nailed down and make sure you know what you're doing. But equally, Andrew and I were chatting in the previous race, and Andrew said, so do you reckon the teams have really tried to improve their pit stops and gain all that time? And I was like, nah, probably not, university teams.
Yeah, very possibly. I know there was some discussion in race 1 with the Liverpool squad about negotiating pedal adjustments, because of course that is another element to consider as well.
Of course, I hadn't even thought about that.
In a driver height, and that can add a lot of time as well.
We would usually try and make sure that people going out together were similar weight and similar height, just so you don't have to worry about that.
That's far too intelligent. that's pre-preparation. Why would you do that?
Because myself and the guy who was in with Fraser, a guy called Aidan, when we used to do it together, we were on 2 different pedal settings, but he just went, it's fine, I'll go with the ones furthest away because it's best for you. And not to blow smoke, but I was the quicker driver, so I got the choice of the seating position and whatnot.
Number 1 here, number 1.
No, number 3 or 4, I think, actually. I think you'll find. Equally, mate, I'm also in the comms box, so what does that say? I'm also old as well. You can have that one too. As
Cambridge A entering the pit.
Yeah, we're nearly into the pit stop window now, aren't we? You can see JB and Jacob having a little bit of a conflab outside the window. Of course, if you haven't heard, obviously you know Jacob. He does all of the briefings and everything now that JB doesn't want to shout at us anymore. Jacob has taken the banner, and of course, Jacob, ITV superstar now is Jacob. He was on Tipping Point, won a nice bit of money. So if you need a couple of pennies,
beers on Jacob.
Yeah, if you need a sausage roll up in the cafe, go and ask Jacob. He can lend you a few bob. But no, well done to Jacob. Very impressive, actually. He was really knowledgeable. I was very impressed. Loads of the questions I was like, not a clue, not a clue, not a clue. So
I have a confession. I didn't watch it.
What?
I followed on social media. I followed while he was getting up.
We'll let you off. Luckily, you can watch it back on ITVX. That's where I watched it. So.
You sponsored?
No, definitely not.
Other streaming platforms are available.
Yeah, you can go to that just for that. Then you can come back to Alpha Live for everything else. Yeah.
Come back to this.
Right, here we go then. 3 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in pit stop window number 1. You're cutting it pretty fine if you're coming in the pits at this point. Obviously, totally fine as long as you're getting in before that pit window closes. But then again, you're also thinking other teams might be diving in at the end as well. You could get stuck behind a few others. Just as we say that, Liverpool B into the pits. They're going to be hoping that they don't get stuck behind anyone at the field Bowsers.
Yeah, they've left it late, as have Coventry A. Uclan A jumping Loughborough in the pit. Well, maybe not jumping them in the pits, but Loughborough diving into the pits, I believe.
Yes, you are indeed correct. I wonder if which team there out of Coventry B, who are in the lead, and Coventry A, who are in second, got the preferential treatment on the pit stops. Whether they thought that coming in earlier for the B team was better, or whether they thought leaving it out right to the end of the window for Coventry A was better. We'll wait and see after this pit stop window shakes itself out who is in front.
Loughborough have jumped Coventry B in the pits. Loughborough are now ahead.
Wow, okay.
But only by about a tenth, so they are battling each other at the moment. And we are, of course, following that battle now as they head down onto the pit straight, running towards Billy's Bluff in just a second. I just made up a new corner name. And heading through the S's. It is still Loughborough C out in front here. Good to see no major kind of brave moves on the braking just yet. This was a move that was done under strategy. It could still be done by a slightly more passive means than what we were seeing in the previous race, perhaps, for Coventry to get back into second. But this, let's see. I'll be very intrigued now to see how Coventry A do once they dive into the pits. How quick will their stop be? Where will they end up? Because this could look really good for Loughborough C, rather.
Yeah, there was nothing passive about Enduro 1, was there? Absolutely nothing passive about that. As there you go, Loughborough C come into the pits, I believe, was it? Or was that Coventry B? Yes, it is. So Loughborough C into the pit lane.
Apologies there, folks.
And they make that pit stop, so they'll be coming out a little bit further down the order. One to pick up. I think they've done their pit stop, but not going to 100% say until this comes to the end of the window. Manchester A having a fantastic race. I can see Ocean Beach in the cart at the moment. He is flying out there on circuit. Best lap of a 41.050.
We have the race leader in the pits now.
Okay, so Coventry A finally making that pit stop, and they really were cutting it fine. Less than a minute to go in that pit stop window now, as the 24 dives out of the pit lane. As that was Coventry A. Sorry, I was looking further down the order. I was like, who is that? Coventry A come across the line, and they are still in second place. What's that gap now? 2 seconds between Coventry B and Coventry A. So I think Coventry A did gain something in that pit stop, but not very much.
No, that, to be honest, I don't think you could have asked for that to have gone much better, really.
Yeah.
They've still got
both teams in 1-2.
Yep. That was a fantastic result for them in the pits.
Yeah, it's certainly not a prediction I would have brought into this afternoon, having Coventry leading us 1-2 with the B team in front of the A team. But hey, this is why you watch BUKC, and this is why it's so interesting. As even though starting to quieten down a little bit in this one, these two still battling on screen, the 25 and the 34 continuing to go at it. This is Bath A and Reading A, and that was Bath A actually making the move for 9th place there on the road past Reading A. Of course, both these teams, Bath A and Reading A, in the battle for sort of 3rd, 4th place in the overall Premier category championship table. And of course, if you're up in the top 3 of that, you get a nice big trophy to commemorate your success. So all teams going to be wanting to absolutely put it on the line across these last few Enduros and try and take home some silverware.
Track conditions looking arguably the best we've seen all day. We've had a full day now.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I was about to say, the sun is absolutely glorious now. It is about 4,000 degrees in the in the commentary box. And we'd like to perhaps... Oh, we have in fact got the door open. Okay, that's...
Oh, I opened it, yeah, don't worry.
I was about to say, we'll open the door to make it a bit colder, but it's already open. But that has meant that after we've had a night of rain, of course, as we have 3 wide into the horseshoe, after a night of rain, obviously you lose a lot of the grip off the track. We've had the sun beaming down. We've had a half a day of running on the circuit now, so track should be nice and rubbered in, and the tarmac should be nice and grippy as for these drivers as well. And we're seeing that at the times.
We are.
40s, fastest lap going to Cardiff A, of course.
Of course. There was a lovely, I'm not sure of who it is down at the hairpin, but there's a lovely cinematic shot there through. I saw there was the little zoom out, and the everything got a little pixelated and then zoomed back in, and it was beautiful. I really enjoyed that from whoever's down there. We've got 2 people off at Billy's blind though. 2 people off, so clearly a bit of a coming together in the mid-pack there between a couple of drivers, both diving to either side of the track to try and get out of the way of the rest of the field. Try and double check the numbers of who was involved in that. It might have been De Montfort A. It certainly ended with a 1. I don't want to scare anyone who can hear me on the PA now, so ignore me until I double check who that was and who starts to fall down the order after that one, but never ideal. And it can also mean, it's up to the first pit stop, so it might just mean that is your driver immediately getting in the car and then immediately getting involved with an incident.
Yeah, it does take a lap or 2 to get into that groove when you're feeling comfortable once again. You want to refamiliarise yourself with the car, with the track.
Oh, it was De Montfort A. It was De Montfort A and Reading A. Yes, it was. They both lost a heap of time. So De Montfort A down to 13th, Reading A down to 14th. And just as I was mentioning how them and Bath A were having a great battle themselves, and then De Montfort have come together there and lost a good bit of time. So again, Reading A being one of those teams wanting to fight up near the top of the Prens Championship, having a little bit of a few bits of issues in this Enduro number 2. Still up there, to be fair, still in 14th, in a good position. But going to be trying to get back up to speed once again and back on the pace as quickly as possible.
Kart I am keeping one eye on at the moment is Cardiff A. They've made their way up into 17th now at the end of that first.
I'd ignore them, to be honest. I didn't even know they were out there still.
Yeah, fair enough. Running in 17th at the moment, 40.7, still holding the fastest lap of the racing, comfortably in the low 41s at this point in time. Looking in very good stead. Should still be making up some positions if things go their way. Don't count anything out, though. You can see how quickly a race can turn around here.
As we say, Fraser Brunton is doing Fraser Brunton things.
Seems apt.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Should mention Coventry B as well, continuing. Coventry B continuing the progress. They're breaking away from Coventry A, in fact, and they are lapping quite nicely. That gap now stands at 3.5 seconds, so they've made up another half a second easily over the past couple of laps.
Drivers just getting in the groove, aren't they? Putting in those lap times. Personal best comes from Southampton A in 4th on the previous lap around the circuit. A little bit faster than Manchester, who are ahead of them. But a good 4 seconds between them. So Southampton needing to get in the groove to chase down the top 3, really. They're sitting on a nice little bubble, but only a few seconds. As we were saying earlier, that could all get thrown away in a pit stop, and suddenly you've lost a good few positions. So nothing to sniff at, but certainly just to get in that groove and squeeze out as much time on circuit as possible to try and best deal with any issues that might occur in the pit stops. Now, of course, we've come to the end of pit stop window number 1. The drivers will have had to all make a stop. If you don't make a stop in that window, you get in a black flag. And then we've got a second window which will open up with 35 minutes gone up until 55 minutes gone. So, of course, on your timer that is on your screen, it'll be from 25 minutes on that timer to 5 minutes to go on that timer. That's what you're going to watch out for. So only 5 more minutes of normal running before the chaos begins once more.
Fantastic. Liverpool B having a fantastic result from their pit strategy. They're back up into 10th already. They, of course, pitted quite late on in the previous pit window. And they're currently running in 10th. Curb warning for Oxford Brooks D kicking in there. Not quite sure. Well, oh no, it was in fact the sausage curb. That is one that you probably want to avoid. You don't want to do that too many times within the space of an hour. The cart won't thank you for it.
No, it certainly will not. These carts are built to be nice and sturdy, with the fact they're, of course, arrive and drive carts, even though they are very, very quick. The quickest arrive and drive carts that you can certainly use in the UK. But still, higher level carts than unusual arrive and drive carts you would come in when you just come to visit a circuit with your family and friends. So still got some finicky bits, so you still got to treat them with care and respect over an hour-long race.
I was amazed to see that the cart that had that off at the very start of race 1 this morning came out without any type of major bent bodywork or anything like that. That was properly implanted underneath a wooden fence.
That would be many things broken in a pro sort of senior Rotax cart sort of thing.
Yep.
But no, built very sturdy, not only to keep the carts in good order, but also to protect our drivers as well. And it certainly did that because, as you say, I think it was Exeter A who had that off before the session even started in the slightly moist conditions this morning, found the barrier on the outside and the sort of wood that was behind it, was totally fine, able to continue, and had a good result in the race as well.
Fantastic run from Fraser there, heading down into the first corner. Actually had the move done before the braking zone, by the looks of things. Had a brilliant run out of the final corner on the last lap and was able to swoop past just after the kink in the pit straight.
It doesn't sound like the Fraser I know, making overtakes before the braking zone. That's nothing like him. Sense some sarcasm in my voice there, I think. But he's making a great shot of it. He's actually right on the back of Liverpool B now. He's coming through. He's just overtaken the 37 of Birmingham B, so that was for position there for 11th place. Now he's got Liverpool B just ahead for 10th. So Fraser Brunton,
and heading into the S's, gets a move done.
He's got it done already, has he? Wow, fair play. Through the S's, up into the top 10 goes Fraser Brunton on the Cardiff A car. They are really, really looking menacing as we head into the last 30 minutes of this race.
Looks so hooked in.
Well, he is our current defending Club 100 lightweight sprint champion, is Fraser Brunton, of course. So knows his way around these BUKC carts pretty well, I think is the understatement of the century. We've got the 40, I think it's Alistair Irvine, I always forget how to pronounce his name. Sorry, Alistair, on the Brunel A cart.
No relation to Eddie by any chance?
No, I don't believe so, no. I don't believe so. I've seen a few Irvines in Irvine or Irvine, however you want to pronounce it, across karting. I always ask that question. I think there is another one today, actually, here. I just cannot remember what team they are part of. I always forget. I've seen it across their back, though, so I need to double-check who that is. But I do believe Alistair is still in the cart here for Brunel. currently in 13th, so good to see him back, getting some practice for Drivers' Champs on Sunday, of course. As Fraser Brunton's going for another move there, this time on the 45. I think that's actually lapping a driver on the 45 plated kart. So, of course, drivers still a little bit mixed up. That was actually Bristol A, who are currently 34th. And last, I remember them having some issues earlier on in this race, so I think a black flag or two, so not an ideal one for them. Currently sat down in 35th place.
Meanwhile, out in front, Coventry B still very much in control here. 5 seconds down to P2, and they've just got to bring it home in a safe and sensible manner now. That's all they need to do left in the front.
Yeah, exactly. If someone's at the front of the order and we don't speak about them, that usually means it's going pretty well.
Yep.
So yeah, our little chat about the two commentary carts, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. The B team still leading the A team and continuing to actually extend the gap. Really, really quick times from the Coventry B driver. Low 41s consistently. And the Coventry A sort of doing low to mid 41s consistently as well. So all the drivers near the top of the order. Very, very good pace. Now as we close in 20 seconds until pit window number 2 opens up, as I can already see some drivers getting called in. Let's quickly run you through the order. So it's Coventry B and Coventry A who are your top 2. Following them are Manchester A and Southampton A. Then it's Exeter A, UCLan A, Surrey A, Loughborough A, Bath A and Cardiff A round out the top 10. Then it's Liverpool B, Birmingham B, Brunel A, Warwick A, Leeds A, De Montfort A, Reading A, Southampton B, Derby A and Brighton B who round out the top 20.
De Montfort A have just received a penalty for bump and pass. So
they will no longer be in 16th, yes. We'll see how they do by the end, but yeah, bump and pass, that's going to be a couple of places lost at the end. Behind them, Nottingham A, Loughborough C, UEA, Warwick B, Loughborough B, Swansea A, Cambridge A, UCL A, Exeter B, Oxford Brooks D, Leicester A, Brighton A, Bristol A and Loughborough D round out your 34 karts in this one. And just as I say that, I'm glad I did it then, because lots of drivers have already started to trickle into the pits. Oh my goodness, the exit of this pit lane always scares me here at Clay Pigeon. Just some of the drivers coming out of the pit lane, not checking over their shoulder and just emerging out on circuit, as that's also not how you do it from the 58. Stops at the end of the pit lane and then waits.
Yes, naughty.
Don't do that. Do not do that. That is just as dangerous.
It is always going to be difficult with such a high-speed circuit, because drivers coming out of that long sweeping right-hander to finish the lap are going to be already full throttle, gaining a substantial amount of speed. So much pace coming out of that corner. It's always going to be a little bit risky here at Clay in comparison to other circuits. Yeah, because you've been flat all the way through the horseshoe, haven't you? Then into the final corner, it's really just a lift more than anything. So you're full chat already, almost at full speed, as you say, by the time you get to the pit exit. And they're coming out from a blind pit exit with a wall on their right, trying to spot out. Of course, you've got the exit line where the drivers need to stay out of. But again, just as you're coming out or as you're dealing with other drivers coming out around you, just good to be aware of your surroundings and know exactly what is going on. But all the drivers are dealing with it nicely as of now. I can see it moved out of my comms box. The 23 and the 33 having a little battle there. It was the 23 actually getting past, but I think they're much further ahead. So yeah, that was Southampton A putting a lap on Surrey A. That was. As there's a move, Manchester A down the inside of the number 11. Again, I don't think that's a position, sorry. That's Manchester A putting a lap on someone else. That's Warwick A in the number 11. Now that is an interesting element of this race that is now going to start coming into play now we get to the later stages, especially now we're in the second pit window. Lapped traffic becomes much more of a consideration at this race distance, because, of course, lapped cars, with it being such a spread out field over now quite a long amount of time, are very much entitled to race their own race and enjoy the battles that they're enjoying with the cars around them. But obviously the guys on the lead lap want to do the same thing, so traffic management is key at this stage.
It is, that is for sure. I just want to give a quick shout out to our producer Adam. I very much like that graphic, Adam. It was just a shame that Manchester came in as soon as you put it out. The lovely graphic just telling us how quickly per lap Manchester were closing in on the Coventry A kart, and then Manchester immediately decided to dive into the pit lane for their second stop of this race. So we'll see how quickly they're able to emerge from the pit stop, as I think they already have, actually, down in 7th place overall now. A minute and 8 seconds on a stop, so what's that, losing around 27, yeah, 27, 28 seconds. So I think that's around a decent stop, isn't it, of about 25 seconds?
Yeah, I think you want to be aiming for that range. I think, especially after the first race now, the teams are a little bit more confident as to how the pit stops are running.
They only got one opportunity to try it last one, didn't they?
True. So guys are now know exactly what type of jobs they need to be doing. And yeah, the pits have just been a little bit smoother now.
Yeah, you would hope so. You would hope so, but you never know. I'm kind of glad we can't see you around this building, to be honest, because the chaos of BUKC pit stops giving me anxiety just thinking about it. So
there were brief discussions of a pit camera for us.
Oh my goodness!
But I wasn't sure like if we were going to have like a timing. Well, obviously we didn't have any timing there, so I suppose it would have just been us sat there looking at our watches, going 1 elephant, 2 elephant, 3 elephant. Okay, they're good to go.
Sadly, a few issues today with the bandwidths and everything of our streaming capabilities.
The reason for that is because there is a massive radio mast
it's
right
great.
behind.
It's really useful.
Right behind the circuit. So we're basically fighting for them. So apologies if you've just heard, I don't know, like Rock FM or whatever over the stream. And listeners of Rock FM have been listening to us for a little while. But
what is this rubbish?
Yeah. As we have another curb warning coming in for Bath A now.
Just in case we're on the radio, should we do the shipping report?
I don't even know how to start with that one. I'll leave that one to you. Contact warning coming in for the full B there. Be careful, Johnny.
Look at this now. Of course, pit stops have occurred. You've got to remember this. But yeah, Cardiff A up now into 4th place as Exeter make their pit stop. So Cardiff A continuing to press on ahead. And this is also when you think is quite good as well. Of Fraser Brunton in the Cardiff A car can continue putting in those consistent laps as other people begin to make pit stops. As Southampton A now get an ABC bump and pass penalty. So they are having a good race as well, up in the top 10 at the moment. I can't remember if they've had a pit stop or not just yet. They're having a decent race anyway. It's the number 23, but now they've got a penalty, so not a chance they can win, and it's going to drop them a few positions by the end by the checkered flag. Yeah, the B team leapfrogging them then in this scenario. It's a good day to be a B team. Here. It is, yeah, isn't it? Well, the B teams have been impressing me both in the Prem class and the Clubman class today. Great battles throughout in both, and the championships in both properly starting to hot up here. Of course, we'll try and call throughout the rest of this Enduro and the next one as to who we think are our champions and our top 3 in each classification. I'm going to wait to do that until Andrew is back. No. By we, I meant Andrew. Yeah, I don't want to look at the spreadsheets of doom. What I can say is a slightly slow stop for Exeter B on that previous lap there into kind of the 115s overall. So hasn't lost too much time, but every second counts when it is still fairly close running here. Yeah, that could have even just been where you go to restart it, you click the firing button, and nothing happens. So you click it off and click it back on, and even then you've lost 3-4 seconds. As Cardiff A now enter the pits, as do Liverpool B, in fact. Yeah, so Cardiff just emerge from the pits there and rejoin. So we'll see where they are on the timings once they come across the line. Looks to still be 11th. It was a pretty quick stop, though, 105 on that one. So not too shabby there from Fraser Brunton. Of course, didn't need to do a driver change, of course. But re-emerges just outside of the top 10, right behind Exeter A, puts himself in a good spot for the rest of this race with 18 minutes to go now on the clock. Not an ideal start, pit stop rather, for Liverpool B, 117 on that previous lap overall, so about 30 seconds, maybe a little bit higher than that. That could cost them because they were actually right in the middle of a bit of a pack battle there. We're starting to get little pockets of carts kind of keeping each other busy at this stage in the race, only separated by about a few tenths, and there's a few seconds until the next pack. As drivers are picking the guys that they like to lap with and have a bit of a battle with. Now, I was saying earlier in the previous race, I'm used to seeing drivers go quite long into stints and sort of stretch out as late as possible before diving in. But like Andrew said, undercut clearly is strong, and the drivers clearly know that because a lot of drivers were taken to the pits very early on in both windows. We're seeing that here as well, so a lot of drivers already emerging out of the pits. One team that hasn't done that is UClan. UClan A are in 2nd place at the moment, 17.5 seconds off of the lead. Of course, Coventry B haven't pitted either, but UClan making some strides up into the top 2. I imagine they're wanting to carry on this stint as long as possible because currently they are either matching or beating Coventry B in terms of pace, although Coventry B now in the pits. Oh, okay. So it is going to be UClan A who take to the front then. But we'll see where Coventry B emerge. Manchester A were looking super quick, and they're about to come through my shot now. So I think Manchester A might take the lead of the race here. Yes, they will. Coventry A are behind them, and Coventry B, I don't think, have still not come out of the pit lane. No, Southampton A come through, and so does Southampton B, Derby A, Loughborough A, Exeter A. Oh dear. What's gone on here then for Coventry B? Have they crossed the line? They have crossed the line. Okay. So I'm getting myself confused. Ignore everything I just said, professional commentator. We'll count them through when they come over the line next time of asking. It must have been so quick that I missed it. There's the 49 coming across the line. So they are still in the lead of the race. I'm sorry if you go to commentary and you're listening to me right now, I might have just given you a heart attack. Actually, your pit stop was so fast, I missed you come out of the pit. So Coventry B still in the lead of this race. Just to double down, make sure you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, that is
Coventry B in the lead. That is a big off.
Turn 1.
Billy's blind can often create those big offs. And yeah, they've nestled themselves in the tyres, haven't they, there?
Yeah, this could be a fairly long yellow flag through the first sector. And actually, no, it looked a little bit easier to recover than it first thought. I thought.
Fair play.
Yeah.
He was pretty nestled there, but yeah, the marshal going to have a little bit of a job, get those tyres and barriers back in order. But the driver continuing after that incident. Just going to try and see who the number is. It was the 48 who was off there in the wall. That's Leicester A, 31st place. They were last time across the line, but dropping down the order once more are Leicester, sadly. So just to confirm to you, Coventry B definitely still in the lead of this race by a good margin as well. 6.8 seconds there in the lead.
Not only that, if UClan A have not pitted yet, Coventry B is closing in on them.
Yeah.
I think that 17-second gap.
They are indeed.
Split between two, now only 15 seconds.
No, yeah, UClan in racing their own race sort of thing at the moment. Still not done the pit stop. They're just going to want to deal with the traffic as quickly as they can and try and get good laps in before they come in for this final pit stop and just sort of see where they can emerge once that occurs. Of course, this final pit stop window running until 5 minutes to go in this one. So still just under 10 minutes left in the pit stop window, although I think a lot of teams have already taken it, to be honest.
Yes, I'd. If I was in this situation, I'd want to take the pit stop sooner rather than later, because as you get later, you're going to start to encounter more and more traffic, and then if you try and pit, you're going to be coming straight back out into even more traffic as well, and it becomes a bit of a mess to try and negotiate. So I think at this point in time, opting for the most clean running as possible, sounds obvious, is probably the safest bet. To have a penalty for Derby A, contact once again.
I was just going to say that, yeah, the day's going from bad to worse from Derby, just from Andrew saying how amazing they are, moving from inters into mains and doing so fantastically, and now they've got more penalties for their troubles. There's all Kane Shepherd down the inside of the 25 there. That was a little bit argy-bargy. I thought it was on Barthay, so Barthay after that earlier incident in 17th place. Manchester A moving their way through on back markers. Of course, you want to do it as quickly as possible, but equally, you don't want to give yourself a penalty just from trying to dive down the inside a little bit too early than maybe you should have.
Exactly. And Manchester A want to be right on the rear axle of Coventry B as quickly as possible. You want as many laps available to them in order to try and get that move done on the road. They're only 5 seconds behind, so it's certainly doable. 30 minutes to go in this race, but as you mentioned, try and stay clear of penalties if possible. Contact warning there for UCLA now coming in.
I think the gap between Manchester A and Coventry A is starting to extend as well. It was about 8 or 9 tenths when they came out the pits. Now over a second, 1.3 seconds now. And to confirm as well, UClan A have come out the pits in 5th place. So they've had a great little final stint there, jumped their way up into the top 5. And I think it's even more salt in the wound for Derby, to be honest, as they're now in P6. A second in the clubman class karts in this one. I think I've seen them gain 3 penalties in this one, maybe. So just
Manchester
gutted.
A contact penalty.
Oh,
what a shame. They were running
You're right.
so well. They were looking right up there with the class of the field, and unfortunately for them, penalty now in shoes. What a shame.
So do you reckon, I think that might have been the move that we saw on camera then?
That was definitely that move.
So yeah, just as we were saying, you want to get past concisely, but cleanly. And that wasn't how Kane Shepherd did that one, I'm afraid.
And you know what this means now? We're 67 laps in, and it's a 1-2 for Coventry once again.
Oh, yes. As old no, a cone penalty comes in for Liverpool B. As we've got a spinner at the S's, facing the wrong way, still there on the exit. Not a nice place to be, as he's going to try and tip it back round in the way. Just about continues, and I think that is Liverpool B, isn't it, the 76?
Yes.
Just turning back round that cart, gets it restarted. We have a yellow flag down at the hairpin as well. Not sure if that was just from... Oh, have we gone full course yellow? Yes, we have. We've gone full course yellow out on circuit.
Now, is there anything that stands out, or is this just
No,
the
I can't see
marshals
anything.
or the race control using this as an opportunity to try and neutralise the race, try and...
I mean, so there's a barrier being put back in place here. So that's the barrier that was taken out by
did I
Liverpool
miss
B.
that? Yeah.
Because it was so far away from the corner, we couldn't see it. That's why. But they put it back down now. I can understand that. Two marshals have got to go on circuit and place that barrier back onto the curb, which, of course, the drivers are trying to hit every lap. So I think that full course yellow, it's understandable.
Sorry, JV. No, they're not. They're not trying to hit the curbs at all.
No, they would never touch the curbs with your beautiful karts. Thank you, JV.
Yes.
But I think the full course yellow will be coming in relatively shortly, as they have now put that barrier back in place. And we should be going back under green flag conditions any time soon. Now, of course, you've got to slow up under full course yellow. You're going to get a penalty if you're seen to not be doing so. But it's finding that bit of margin, isn't it, between going slowly enough to not break the rules, but going fast enough to catch the next person and make sure you stay in that train.
Of course, an interesting element. If you feel like you're not going to be able to keep pace with the kart up in front, you may choose to instead back up the karts behind and maybe try and get a good launch, control the getaway. As we saw towards the end of the running, we are away once again. Green flag conditions. I believe we had a kart in the pits under yellows. Just then, the number 66, I believe, was in the pits under yellows, which is a fantastic little strategy call there.
So now there's only one back marker in between Coventry B and Manchester A for the lead of the race. What was that gap before we had that come out?
5 seconds.
5, 6 seconds? Yeah, half a second now between our two leaders. So Kane Shepherd only has one driver between himself and a potential race win here in Enduro number 2 of the 2023 BUKC finals. He does go down the inside of the back marker at the final corner, gets the job done. And now it's only clean air between himself and a potential race win. Kane Shepherd is going to be rubbing his hands with delight. But however,
up a little bit.
The Coventry B car has been very, very quick. So I'm not saying this is just going to be a catch and overtake here. This could be a fantastic battle for the race win as we head into the final 10 minutes here.
Of course, Manchester carrying that penalty.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, so
how could I forget?
But I'm sure there's still a bit of pride for taking it on the road.
Exactly, and I mean, if you get one more position on track, you sort of take a position off your penalty, if that makes any sense. But an interesting one of how this has restarted, with drivers being in a couple of big packs, but all a bit spread out as well, with how the pit stops occurred, with some people pitting still during that full course yellow and sort of exiting and trying to get in at the end of it, and also with how the trains form, who slowed down more than others. It's sort of extended it a bit weirdly here. I'm trying to see sort of where everyone is. Now, there's a huge gap between the main pack that was from that restart and Fraser Brunton, and then the number 4 kart that's behind him, Loughborough A. So the gap from 5th of UClan A down to Cardiff A and 6th is 8 seconds, that is. Quite a big gap, whereas the top 5 only separated by less than 5 seconds.
I was about to mention Fraser Brunton there, because let's see where he can end up here. He's currently running in P6, his quickest kart on track at the moment, and
he's got quite unlucky there with that full course yellow, I would say. I think that might have scuppered him a little bit.
Quite possibly.
So he'll continue to push ahead, but
8 minutes to go.
The gap here between
yes.
Big Pack and Fraser is just too big. Too big, sadly, I would say, even for Mr. Fraser Brunton. But this gaggle at the front, this is getting juicy now.
73 laps under our belt now. I'm sure the drivers, a little bit of tedium potentially settling in for those who have done a particularly long stint, as they're getting quite used to the sights of Clay Pigeon now, after lap by lap by lap. Penalty there for Reading A coming in at the number 34 cars, and that is through contact as well. That is currently running in P26. See the Manchester car now has managed to close that gap once again to within 6/10, so still good pace underneath that car. Despite the penalty that they are carrying, they are still showing that they mean business now, and bringing along with them Coventry as well, not too far behind either.
Could become a three-way battle shortly. We've got a couple more penalties coming through. Reading A, we've got a contact penalty. De Montfort A with a curb penalty. So a couple places lost for both those drivers at the end of this one. With, Manchester A, as you say, very, very quick. Kane Shepherd behind the wheel of that one. We know he's super quick. He's been in the BUKC for quite a few years now, has Kane. A racer I've been lucky enough to race with myself. Very respectful and very fast. And he's now looking to chase down our leader, and he's continuing to drag Coventry A with him as well. And don't forget, just behind them, Southampton A and UClan A very much in it as well. Good few seconds now back to Southampton A, but the battle between themselves and UClan are really kicking off, isn't it?
Yeah, contact warning actually creeping in for that one's getting very close.
It is getting spicy.
Just had a quick one actually as we're following them now. All of the team members there on the side, on the pit wall there. Can you give us a Mexican wave? No, they can't hear it. Okay, never mind.
Or you got ignored.
Yeah, probably that second one there.
The fan interaction is the worst thing possible. I cannot do it. Because of rejection like that. I can't take it.
Southampton actually on that lap a little bit slower than what they've been otherwise, so clearly deciding, you know, it's a little bit, it's probably safer to back off, obviously losing a bit of time in that battle as well.
Yeah, they were overtaken, weren't they, for 4th place, and then dropped about a second off of the back of the UClan kart by the time they made it to the...
UClan have just received a penalty.
Oh,
it was
there you go, so that's why they dropped a second then.
Yeah.
Bit of a bump and pass, forcing that driver off the line, getting through, and quite a bit seemingly, because yeah, 43-second lap time isn't a great one for the Southampton kart, so clearly getting nerfed off a little bit, and UClan getting a penalty for it. So once again, to remind you, after the race, with the full official race results, head to results.alphatiming.co.uk/BUKC, as we can only tell you the finishing position on circuit. The stewards can then deal with the rest of it.
What we can tell you, though, is it's looking good for Coventry at the moment, who are running very nicely indeed.
Yes, of course, with that penalty for Manchester. Still looking to be a 1-2 for Coventry at the moment.
Southampton on the podium as well.
Yes, indeed, because of that penalty for UClan. So, again, as we saw in the sprints earlier today, it seems kind of a race of attrition, not of drivers falling off the circuit, but just in terms of getting penalties, isn't it?
Yes, and it would be nice to see Southampton come out with a strong result here in the penultimate race of today, of course, because the season has been sometimes a little bit up and down. So to see them finish the finals in a strong way would be very nice indeed.
It will. They had a good morning this morning, didn't they? Some good races. And with their 1-2 finish to top that off, I'm sure they'll be very, very happy with the morning's results. Seemingly going pretty well this afternoon so far anyway. Up in that what will effectively be 3rd place, we think, after penalties are applied. But Manchester have overtaken Coventry B. We've missed that on the cameras. Sorry, everyone. They have got them on circuit. So through goes Kane Shepherd up into the lead of the race on circuit. But to remind you once again, Coventry B do not have a penalty, whereas Manchester do. So Manchester will be dropping out of that first position once the penalties are applied at the end of the race. But Coventry B obviously likely don't know that. So they could be thinking, oh no, I've just lost the race win here. I'm going to chuck it back up the inside at the next corner, and oh no, it all goes wrong.
Yeah, could see themselves with a penalty as well. Still 3 minutes to go. Now there's plenty of laps here at this very short, very quick-natured Clay Pigeon circuit.
You can say that again. Yeah, super quick. As the 49er Coventry definitely not falling off the back of that Manchester kart. We continue to watch them come here through Billy's blind, and then into the S's. What's that gap behind now? Still over 1.5 seconds to Coventry A, so wasn't really any battling between Manchester and Coventry B that Coventry A could take advantage of and catch back up to, as we got a spinner down at Billy's blind once more. Don't think found the barrier that time though, that driver, so continues once again. It was the 42 who had a little bit of spin at that time. That was Brighton A in 31st place, just going round to face the wrong direction.
We have now crossed the 81 lap mark. Would you believe it? That's a lot of laps.
That's quite a few laps.
Yeah.
Practically at a Formula 1 race distance now, I think. Maybe not quite.
No, definitely. Penalty for Brighton A coming in now.
Oh, just as they just had that spin, I think. It was them, wasn't it? Yeah, wasn't that Brighton? It was, yeah. So again, going from bad to worse there for Brighton. Hold on a second, Brighton. Oh no, it wasn't Brighton, sorry, it was Derby. I'm getting my Brightons and my Derbys confused. I apologise. They're not even close together on the map. I don't know how I'm confusing them. But no, it was Brighton who were up near the top. Sorry, Derby that were up near the top earlier. Brighton not quite doing so well and get a penalty, sadly, to add to it also. Less than 2 minutes left to go in this one then. Of course, pit window closed with 5 minutes to go. So they're all done and dusted. So your current order is the order that they'll be leading to the flag. But again, to remind you, lots of penalties to come to.
Yes, Coventry B seeming to play it safe now, although it looks like as we head in to the...
They've got him back.
Yeah, they've got the move done once again.
Yeah, impressive.
So
Impressive re-overtake.
On this race, it looked clean as well by all accounts. So
I think it's a back marker they've got just behind them that we can see on the cameras. And it is indeed. So you've got that back marker just behind. Then it's the Coventry A kart who follows afterwards. However, once again, to remind you, Manchester A with the penalty, they're going to want to get back through, as I thought they were going to do it there at the S's. Not quite able to get the overlap and force the move. But they're going to want to minimise the penalty that they have got as much as possible by gaining as many positions as possible. Coventry B, likely not realising that they're not actually battling over the race win here. Sorry, my voice is already going near the end of the day. But yeah, they're not going to realise that they're not even battling over the lead here. And it doesn't matter. And actually, this is just allowing for the Coventry A kart to close back in once more.
There's 30 seconds to go now on the timer. The race is drawing to a close, and there's contact between the Manchester A kart and Coventry B. That looked like a fairly elbows-out move, if I do say so myself. That is now Manchester back in the lead on the road, but I imagine the stewards are going to want to have a bit of a look at that one.
We'll keep an eye on the timing for that one. I didn't quite spot it myself, but I saw the aftermath, and it looked relatively robust as they both found themselves off of the circuit. I do believe we're on the last lap of the race here, so this is the battle over the on-track race win. It has gone the way of Kane Shepherd as of yet, but to remind you, they have got a penalty. But it does look like Kane Shepherd is going to hold on to it here. They might go side by side to the line. Kane Shepherd is going to hold him off, and it will be Kane Shepherd of Manchester A who take the win here after 60 minutes of racing. It's split by 0.089 of a second. What an end to Enduro number 2 here.
That was very close, not only between P1 and P2, but the two karts behind as well, making contact. One kart on the grass at one point. It was a slightly, I imagine, intense way to end that race for them there, but they are now bringing the karts back into the pit in one piece as well.
Yeah, it was less than a second then back to Coventry A, so they really did close up that gap on that last lap while the Coventry B and Manchester A were battling Pete and Tong. But UClan A were then in 4th, with Cardiff A there in 5th. Southampton A was 6th, with Loughborough A in 7th, then Exeter A, Surrey A and Brunel A rounding out the top 10. Then there was Derby A, Birmingham B in 12th it was, then Nottingham A, Bath A, Exeter B, Warwick B, Loughborough B, Warwick A, then Loughborough C and Leeds A rounded out the top 20. Then it's Brighton B, Southampton B, Liverpool B, Cambridge A, Reading A, Swansea A, UEA A, then UCL A, De Montfort A, Oxford Brookes D, they're running out the top 30. And it was Brighton A, Bristol A, Leicester A and Loughborough D rounded out your 34 karts who did make it to the checkered flag at the end of that one. So all the drivers making their way back to our grid slots here at Clay Pigeon as we bring Enduro number 2 to a close. And I can see Piers Pryor just getting ready down on the grid. He's not quite ready for us yet, so we'll continue chattering up here in the comms box. But how did you find that then? Oh, no one's on the comms with me. How did I find that then?
Sorry, that's me. Jump back in the seat to do some spreadsheeting. Good finish that. That was a good entertaining watch.
It was good. I really enjoyed that one. It was really exciting, and I think Enduro B should be just as exciting. It's leading up to be an interesting end to the mains year for 2023.
Pit stops though had a bit of a watch down of them in the paddock. They didn't look particularly good for some teams,
really?
So it's going to be a key factor.
We saw a couple of the times on the timing screens that were a little bit more than what maybe we would like to see. But anyway, I think that's my end of the day for the BUKC mains. I've really enjoyed being here, but I'm going to hand it down to Piers, who's on the grid to chat to some drivers.
We are here on the grid, yes, of course, and we've got our race winner from Manchester A. Remind us who you are.
Kane Shepherd, Manchester A.
That was a good race, wasn't it? Yeah. Pretty solid.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It was so good. Also, credits to Ocean, my teammate, because he basically carved the way through the fuel for me, and I was just there to pick up the pickings, to be honest.
And a lovely win for Manchester A. You've had a pretty strong season this year, but ending it on a high must be pretty good.
Yeah, of course, like ending anything on a high always feels good, so it's always very welcome to happen.
Great. Well, congratulations. We'll see if we can grab a word with some more of the drivers that were actually having a ding-dong battle right at the end of the race. I believe, was this the right number? Ah, there we go. No, running away from me. Let's. We can't head that far down. Let's have a word with this driver right here. The last one on the grid, so therefore we're going to grab a word with you. That looked like a tough race out there. It was pretty close at the end.
Yeah, it was. Well, we had to switch carts halfway through, so it wasn't ideal. But I was really fast at the end, I'm pretty sure.
It was very fast at the end. And do you know where you finished exactly on the road?
I've got no idea.
I'm pretty sure you're up pretty high, because I think you got extra on the last lap, I think.
A. Well, I am Exeter B, so...
Maybe a whoopsie, but they've already run the championship. It doesn't matter, does it really?
They won the first round.
Say again?
They won the first round as well, so...
Of course. And you're looking a little sweaty under there. It's a bit warmer here than...
boiling. I've got joggers on under there. I'm not wearing them. I'll just go commando next time.
This is very un-BUKC-like weather, isn't it?
It is. It needs to stay, in all honesty. It needs to stay.
It needs to stay indeed. Well, congratulations. Well done. We've chatted to you a couple of times today. It's a good, strong race. We, I think, are getting a... We could be a couple of minutes. If the comms box are ready to maybe pre-face this next endurance race and the last race of the afternoon, then that would be excellent. Because otherwise, I've got no one to chat to. So hopefully up in the comms box, you're ready for me.
Welcome back, everybody. We're getting ready for the last race of the day, and sadly, the last race for BUKC mains in 2023. Here's your grid for it. Manchester A are on pole position, Warwick B alongside them on the front row, Birmingham B and Brooks D on row 2. Loughborough C and Cardiff A are next up on the third row of the grid. Then Leicester A and Brighton A start on row 4. Liverpool B and Derby A start on row 5. Brighton B and Southampton A go from row number 6. Swansea A and Exeter B start this race from row 7. Nottingham A and Loughborough B are right in the middle there on row number 8. Warwick A and Liverpool A will look to move up the order from row number 9. Oxford A and Nottingham Trent A. Could this be Nottingham Trent A being crowned as clubman champions? We'll see over the course of the next hour. They start on row 10. Coventry D and Bath B are on row 11. Nottingham Trent B and Oxford Brooks B start on row 12. Birmingham A and Manchester B start on row 13. Lancaster A and Oxford Brooks C start on row 14. Oxford Brooks A have work to do, but we know they're good at this format. They start on row 15 alongside Sheffield A. And then last but not least, Cardiff B and Edinburgh A start on row 16. York A and Coventry C make it a 34-cart field. Sun's out and sort of guns out, I suppose, Ree, because they're all going to be going for this last race of the year. There are things still on the line in terms of championship. If you want to have a good result in the BUKC, if one's eluded you so far this year, you've only got one more opportunity to do it.
Exactly. It will be everything to play for some drivers, they feel. And we're talking a lot about this being the last BUKC race of the year as well. But I know in another sense that it's someone's last BUKC race as well, isn't it, Andrew?
Well, in a mains variety, we'll do this now. It is sadly time to move on, ladies and gentlemen. This will be, at least for now, my last BUKC mains race commentary. We've done this since 2016, and I want to thank Will, I want to thank JV, Jacob, going back as well, Josh Fothergill, and all the people around back when we started doing this stream stuff. Very much here as well. I remember it was brother Mike who filmed a Drivers' Championship final on his phone on Facebook Live here in 2016. And we thought, this is pretty good, this. Shall we try and broaden it out? I just want to thank them for all, because they stuck with me and Howard in the early days. There were approaches from other commentators, more experienced and more professional commentators at the time, but no, Willie stuck with me and Howard, who sends his love. And it's been a joy to commentate on the BUKC for many, many years. But I am old now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm 32, and just like at the time, it was right to give a young, fresh-faced commentator a go and build a skill set for the future. It's that time again to pass to the next generation who've commentated with me brilliantly today. So Thank you, chaps. Best of luck for the future. I'll only be a phone call away, and I'll
Thank you
probably
very
still
much.
be here in some capacity.
Thank you very much. And when is this
yeah.
fresh-faced commentator arriving?
But yes, no, thank you everybody for your support over the years as well. I will miss this. I will miss BUKC a lot. This isn't me stepping away from commentary, quite the opposite. But yeah, it's the time is right. Howard stepped away last year. He's had a baby. I've not got one of them coming soon, by the way. It's not that been one of those situations, but yeah, it's been quite a ride since 2015-16. So thank you everybody.
Yeah, it's been great having you with us, mate. You and Howard are sort of the voice of BUKC and Club 100, so to see you step away from BUKC is sad, but myself and Reeve are here to pick up the baton and carry it on.
Big shoes to fill. Run with it hard. And yeah, it should be a great last race of the season to come here at Clay Pigeon. Jacob's joined us in the box with his presence.
We are not worthy.
Touching the roof. Yeah, you can borrow one. We'll just change your headset over and put Jacob on, who we've not heard enough this year.
No, he's big time now.
Everyone's heard enough from me for a lifetime. I'm job done. No, I just heard you giving congratulations. I hope they're congratulations anyway to this man for his service to the BUKC. And I thought I can't walk on by pretending I'm busy without stepping into the box and saying something.
You've been pretending that you're busy for the last 4 or 5 years, mate. Well, we all have to be honest.
Yeah, you should see me in work, bloody hell. No, I did mean to carve out some time, and it has got away from me. But whilst you're here, Andrew, thank you very much for, well, over a decade, isn't it? Over a decade of commentating on
very
BUKC.
much, yeah, in terms of a frontline activity. You know, our first races were here in this competition in 2014. I don't mean this, you know, to do whatever. I do genuinely mean it. I would not be where I am right now. I wouldn't be doing what I am right now. I wouldn't have taken the decision that I took since Christmas to, you know, leave. Well, this is the first time that I was saying this publicly as well. To leave the Monday to Friday 9 to 5 and try and pursue this to pay the mortgage and the bills and all that business without the BUKC. I wouldn't have raced for many, many years in Club 100 without the BUKC. So I'm going to stop now because we're going to start choking up. But yeah, thank you, mate. Thank you for all your hard work over the years as well.
Hey, no, it's second only to you. I really do appreciate everything you've done since, what was it, 2016 was in one of my first jobs, listening in on the Mixcloud, SoundCloud.
Mixcloud, yeah, on Mixler in the 2015 season, which, yeah.
Said I was listening to an audio book about Lean Six Sigma, but I tell you I wasn't. I was listening to you, the commentating over Lando, half an hour away down the road, wishing I was there. And you know, ever since I've become a part of BUKC, you've been there, you've been a mainstay, and people have begun to associate yours and Howard's voice with BUKC, and hopefully soon Reeve and John, and many, many more over the years. But you've helped establish BUKC as what it is today, and we thank you very much for it.
Thank you, mate. Genuinely, that means a lot.
Right, I'm going to pretend I've got other stuff to
Yeah,
get on with now.
Go and pretend to be busy.
Someone needs to probably text someone or something.
But yeah, so this next race, apologies if this is going to be a good test for you, Reeve, because I'm going to have to furiously do the points whilst we...
back to the spreadsheet of doom.
Back to the one last spreadsheet of dooming. But it's been a very good day. I know there's been a couple of moments where it's been not the way we would have expected, but apart from that, I think it's been a pretty good day's racing here. Carts are moving then for this last race of the day. 1 hour to decide. Still quite a number of championship permutations, which will try and guide you along the way as well as we can in the next 60 minutes.
So then, once again, just a quick reminder, no warm-up laps per se here. This is their only chance to get a little bit more familiar with the cars before we head off for an hour's worth of racing. Now, if the last race was anything to go by, I think we're in for a very exciting next hour. It came down to the wire, of course, in the previous race, and we'll be hoping for the same thing yet again.
Carts heading up to Button's corner. Named after this place's most famous son, of course. Thumb up in the air from the pusher kart driver, which indicates that we are ready to go for the last time in Club 100 karts for BUKC Mains 2023. Manchester A on the front row of the grid have already had a great round so far. Looking for those lights, away they go. Good start for both Manchester and for Warwick as well. Not jumping the start like several drivers in P2 have done today. Down into Billy's blind for the first time. There's going to be a little bit of a mess there as Brighton are off. Alex Mitchell is one of the drivers off. There's 3 karts off towards the back as well. In fact, I think both Brighton karts have gone. Both Brighton A and Brighton B have both gone amongst others. You're going to get moving now. So we'll try and track them through in a short moment's time, but that was just the start, Reeve, that Manchester A were looking for. Yannick Brandt at the front of the order for them. They lead. This is a huge opportunity for them to win this round.
Yes, unfortunately, it appears that Warwick B also gets the getaway that they would have wanted. So it's very much a battle of two now for the lead of this race. Meanwhile, just behind them, Birmingham B up to P3. Apologies. No, that is Cardiff A now in second position. As we have a great start lap actually for Cardiff on that previous lap.
Filing through the order, just to confirm, both Brighton karts A and B off at the first lap. Nottingham Trent A were one of the ones off on the first lap. So how many times have we seen this in the last round, in the last race of a round 8, where something is on the line in terms of championship and one of our protagonists has a problem? This year it's Nottingham Trent A going for the clubman title. Down in 36th place at the moment. Manchester B is mentioned already down there as well. In fact, I think also Nottingham Trent B, so awful starts for both of the Nottingham Trent karts.
Meanwhile, those two front runners now starting to break away a little bit on this course. Very start of the race. We still have about 3 seconds covering P3 all the way down to P14. So it's a very close formation indeed. Any type of error now will cost you big time in terms of the rest of the running of this race.
News to report as well from race control, confirmed that the number of penalties for Manchester A were 6 positions. So Coventry B have been awarded the race victory for race number 2. Here are Manchester A and Cardiff A. They'll both be in the top 10 seedings when we get to qualifiers for 2024 at the end of this year.
Let's see then if Manchester can make amends for race 2, show they mean business and come home with a nice win on the road.
2 exclusions to reports from race 2 confirmed as well. Both Swansea A and Brooks D get 0 scores for that, and there's a penalty straight away in this race 3, Nottingham A, for multiple pieces of contact. 2 minutes before we get into the first real tactical part of this race, and we mentioned it slightly before, Reeve, about pit stops. What I was seeing when I was down there in race number 2 is just a flow and an efficiency of what the drivers have to do in the pit stop that maybe wasn't quite there. I think sometimes it kind of occurs with us.
We have an off at the S's,
We do have an off at the S's that we'll just clarify who that is in the moment. Just about recovered the kart. It's the number 62 that comes on ahead of the number 29 of Edinburgh A.
Oxford
so
A,
number 62 being Oxford A. They've lost positions to the Brighton karts as well. But there's a lot that goes. It's a very short amount of time. I saw a beautiful one from Manchester, which showed, considering they were at the front of the field at the end of race 2, you've got to get a fuel cap off. The fuel cap is dastardly. I know it from enough times of racing in Club 100 endurance myself, and is often where people get it wrong. You've got to get out the cart. You've got to get away from the cart to then commence the service from the Club 100 crew. If you've got a short driver and a tall driver, you've got to change pedals. And then you've got to do all that same process in reverse. There's actually quite a lot that goes on there.
And sometimes they're a bit hot. They don't like to start up first time.
And you then chuck on top of that. I was seeing 2, 3, I think even at one time there was a 4 kart stack in the pits. And that's where, I think it was around 15 minutes to go. Teams were losing a lot of time. And that's an experience thing. I'll be honest, we don't see that in Club 100 Endurance because those are endurance teams and that is what they
That's
do.
what they do day in, day out.
That's what they do every month when they race in Club 100. It just shows how easily it can go wrong. Race controller giving a contact warning to Oxford Brookes C. It's a really good scrap at the front of the field here. About 10 seconds off from the first pit window opening. Manchester A leading from Cardiff A. They're in second. Birmingham B in third.
Small weight then down to Liverpool B, leading that midfield at this point in time as we start the next lap. In terms of pace at the moment, 42 in that last lap, so the cars behind starting to pile that pressure on, starting to try and see if they can find any overtaking opportunity, any doors even slightly left open. They're going to maybe think about having a move up there, as there is advantage by contact for the number 10 kart of Oxford Brookes C, as you've just mentioned. Heading round then, the marshals looking on intently at this stage. Obviously still a very close pack. Drivers trying to set themselves up in the best way possible for this very long race. A small tank slapper for some cars heading through the horseshoe, as of course still getting used to the car, still maybe trying to get back up to speed, back into a rhythm here. And fairly clean start to the race then, all things considered.
Indeed. Apologies, just running some more of the numbers for the races that we've had so far.
How much of your sanity or sanity loss can you attribute to Excel in general?
Oh, all of it.
Yeah,
it just depends how much of it is BUKC Excel related versus other things.
Those of you who are interested, we of course still have plenty of our big quick comms block upstate, still plenty of snacks to go around, and the temperature has dropped to about 3,500 degrees now. It's got a little bit colder in here, but not habitable, shall we say.
I'm not going to complain. As it's the 17 re-emerging from the pit stop. I thought they had a problem then. Apologies. I've commentated in far worse. Far worse.
Oh, yes.
I'm dry. I'm not cold. I'm not in a van, which has happened before. I'm not in a building site. That's happened before. There's no spiders, or at least ones that I can see, so my arachnophobia is not setting off. It's fine.
I've commentated on a train before. That was probably my weirdest.
It's probably quite a popular thing now, commentating on trains.
Yeah. Not literally on, like, oh, here's a train coming into a station, as in, I was on a train. I was physically on a train with my laptop. I wasn't just sat there, look at that green one coming into the station.
Fair enough. So, pit stops ongoing. We have seen a change at the front of the order. Manchester A have slipped back behind Cardiff A and Birmingham B, but still very much all to play for. Top 7 covered by 3 seconds at the moment. Derby A having another good run, up in 8th place.
The number, who is it here? It is the number 13 kart as well, having a fantastic run on the exit of the horseshoe there. Was pretty much free wide on exit and found a very small gap and running around that long right-hander to end the lap, and found themselves in the front of the little battle. So great moves there.
We're watching live coverage of the British Universities Karting Championship, rounds 7 and 8. Here at a very sunny, very pleasant Clay Pigeon, which I'm very glad to be saying. I didn't think I'd be saying it less than 24 hours ago when we were on our way here. If you want to follow more of the weekend's action, unfortunately we won't be able to bring you live streamed audio and vision, but at the BUKC across your social media networks, live.alphatiming.co.uk/BUKC. All of those resources will still be working to the max. But if you are looking for some racing to watch this weekend, it isn't just flappy wing passes down a very long straight in Baku. I recommend to you Sunday. Big journey starts tonight for the Alpha Live and DDMM crew. We'll be up in Roura tomorrow in the Lake District for the latest round of the Super 1 Series. Meanwhile, though, great scrap going on here at Nottingham A, or the ineligible Nottingham A, we should remind ourselves, trying to find a way past Manchester A for second place on the road.
We have a 7-way scrap heading through the S's right here, being led by the number 13 kart. Very close racing indeed now as we head into the final sector, and advantage by contact by looks of things for the number 8 kart on this lap as they exit the pits now. So not an ideal lap for them. Might have lost a bit of time in all of that, and of course having to pit as well. Now you mentioned the undercut, the strategy or the preferred choice really in terms of strategy here at Clay Pigeon.
Well, I think it depends on where you are. If you're in the middle of the pack, especially with it being a randomised grid, and you've got a quick driver, better to get them in early, get them in clear air where you can then utilise that pace versus right. Let's overtake 20 karts and then pit. It's especially the first, let's say, 40 minutes of these races are effectively a complicated time trial, where it's about getting yourself into that last 20 minutes as quickly as possible, and then you start racing wheel to wheel.
Yes, and we saw that stand to reason really towards the end of race 2, where those guys battling out in front, who had already had the quick guys in the kart, who were starting to break away from the rest of the pack, were trying to leave the karts out as long as possible, as long into those pit windows. I mean, I believe we had it. I can't exactly remember which do it was, so I do apologise for that one, but within a minute of the pit window ending. So trying to gain as much advantage as possible using the quick drivers. So now, of course, we've had a full-length race in the form of race 2. We should start to see the teams maybe having a bit of an idea, a bit more of a clear idea as what they want to do, and we could see some slightly alternate strategies in terms of what we saw in race 2 for some teams.
So Cardiff 8. A good result in the first race. Real opportunity for them to finish the season on a high, leading this race. Maybe even improve on their seeding from last year. I think it's fair to say that they had a few years in the doldrums, relegated down into the Inters. Cardiff are back. This is a full-on Cardiff team that in future years will be very, very hard to beat. We've got young drivers who have still got years of the BUKC ahead of them. It could be a team that goes on, like we've seen with Exeter this year, who've been knocking on the door for 3 or 4 seasons. So nearly achieved what they wanted to achieve ultimately last year. Just fell short in the last round, which was at Landau last year. This year, they've done the business and got the championship winner. I do genuinely think that this is a Cardiff team that could do that in the years to come.
Just having a look at the battle between Nottingham and Manchester A up in front here. They're, of course, pushing each other along, and that is actually forcing Nottingham, obviously, in their attempt to keep Manchester behind, forcing them now into kind of the grasp of Cardiff A. Cardiff A is starting to lose their advantage over Nottingham, so we could have a very interesting battle for the lead beginning to form up. It's already only at a 1-second delta, which, of course, is just a mistake through a corner here or there before you're only at a few tenths. So certainly all to play for. Nottingham now, in fact, with the fastest lap, taking the lead of the race as Cardiff dive into the pits.
So, apologies it's taking a little bit longer to just make sure everything's in place, but here is your situation with this round number 8. So, it'll probably be unsurprising to a number of our viewers that in the clubhouse the leaders are Exeter A. 115 points for them today. They're done. 2 races completed. No more work for them to do. Coventry B are in a similar situation regards Clubman. 111 points on the board for them. Loughborough A and Leeds A currently occupying the 2nd and 3rd spots in the clubhouse for the Clubman class. Here's your list of teams that could theoretically win the round. Nottingham Trent A, but of course we know they've had a not so good start to this race. Cardiff A leading the race, or were leading the race. They've now made their pit stop for the first of 2 mandatory pit stops in this race. Oxford Brook C are in that situation as well. Sheffield A currently down in 22nd place, and Oxford Brooks A. Those are your teams that could, in theory, win in overall, and we should note that there were, of course, Nottingham Trent in there. By definition, if they can win overall, they can win in Clubman as well.
Manchester then in the pits, race leaders choosing to service the kart, as we have Nottingham, of course, still in the lead, and then Liverpool B following on behind in second. Closing off that gap about 4 seconds now stands at about 3.3, probably owing to the three-way battle that we had threatened just a few laps ago. Then we have Birmingham very close behind there, and we're starting to see now that stage in the race where perhaps the field spreads out a little bit, but within that there are pockets of battles going on here or there. Apologies if I'm just blowing your ears out with the plosives there, but yeah, we start to have kind of parts on track where drivers that have found someone that they enjoy a bit of a battle with, they're a little bit comfortable at the pace that they're running at, and we start to have some battles spread out throughout the track.
Indeed. I am just going to get, hopefully, a clarification on Nottingham Trent's eligibility. I just want to query that before I make a statement that could be wrong.
Should mention a couple of bump and pass penalties coming in for Brighton A, Warwick B as well, but aside from that, Cardiff A as well, in fact. But aside from that, all looking relatively clean. As Loughborough look to be diving into the pit now, and that is the case. Nottingham then appearing to play the long game in terms of their pit strategy for the first pit window, want to leave it as late as possible. Loughborough seems to be having a fairly long stop at the moment. We are yet to see the number 51 cart emerge, which is, as you were talking about before, it is so difficult. There's so many little kind of elements to think about, and it's not like, oh, obviously we're not like Formula 1 teams here. There isn't 3 people that are assigned to one job who are experts in it and do nothing but train for it for their life. We've only got a couple of guys here trying to get to karts prepped for their next stint. So then there we have the Loughborough cart leaving the pit, heading into that first corner, and it was a long stop indeed for Loughborough. Let's see how they can recover. Now, in terms of the gap to the lead, it's currently Nottingham yet to pit, Liverpool yet to pit. Those two running long into the stint. We're about 10 minutes into our pit window now, 3.7 seconds separating those two leaders on track at this point in time. But we want to have a look at the other runners who have already pitted, the likes of Manchester. Manchester currently in the 41s, and it was a very quick stop for them as well, only about 20-second stop, and they've started to pick up that pace, started to get back into a decent rhythm, as we have Warwick A diving into the pit as well. Fastest lap, I should mention, currently goes to Oxford Brooks B. They are running very nicely indeed in terms of their fast lap. It was a 41.7, although Manchester A has literally just stolen that, a 41.4 going to Manchester A at this point in time.
Panic over. There was a typo on a piece of information that had been sent to me. It was Nottingham Trent B that were ineligible in the first race, not Nottingham Trent A, and I thought that would be the case because that'd be bonkers if they made their A team ineligible in the first race and not the B team. So yes, Nottingham Trent A, to confirm, are very much in this for Clubman. Thank you, Molly, downstairs, for just confirming that for us. So what it means is that they, of course, keep hold of that 60 points from earlier. Don't worry about that on your screen. That's just the test pace kart out on circuits that you saw for a moment there off the road. So what we're saying there is, yes, definitely that Nottingham Trent A are in. Hello to Ian Sumner, who's got in contact on the DDMM data centre. He's cheering on Johnny Pinder, driving for Liverpool B, I believe.
I don't believe he's in the cart at the moment.
Okay.
That might have been
Liverpool B getting on out there.
Currently running in second position on the road. About
very good indeed.
4 seconds down from the lead. They're yet to make their pit stop, of course. But
it's been a really good season for Liverpool. I think they've you know, they were one of those teams. Essentially, for anyone new, if a team is running with a kart number beyond 54, that was a team that was in the second division last season.
We were consistently like 116.
Yeah, you know, look, Liverpool B being the number 76 seeds at the start of this season, I think that they've shown they very much belong at this level. It's been a good development year for Liverpool.
Yeah, I can tell you firsthand, we've had over the past couple of years, we've had a really good set of drivers, a really great group of lads who have come in and really taken BUKC seriously, enjoying it as well at the same time, and we've seen that in the results. They've just climbed up. Of course, we weren't.
Two carts off down at Billy's blind. One of them is a Warwick driver, and I think the other one is Josh Adams. So that's going to be the number 15 that's gone round of Oxford Brookes D. Now there's an ineligible cart, so we will ignore that in terms of any permutations. Change for fourth place as Loughborough B have got back past Nottingham A, so that's the 19 going past the 27. ABC takeout penalty for Warwick A. That'll be +6 positions for them at the end of this race. Hasn't really been their season. Warwick A. Down the inside goes the number 50 of Coventry C. I think they'll be fairly buoyed by, as a squad, their performances this year. Another team arguably in rebuild mode at the moment for future years. The former champions. A squad, Coventry, that I think is still rebuilding from their absence, forced absence, through matters beyond the control of the team themselves and the BUKC as an organisation. That's how I'll put that one. They're still rebuilding. It's easy to forget, oh, well, you know, they've won the championship as recent as 2020. It's like, yes, but when you have a whole year out...
Yeah, that is basically a hard reset at that point.
As Sam Sanders goes down the inside there in the number 27, so I think he's ineligible in this race. Yes, he is. Yeah, Coventry having another number of teams up in the fight this year and competing well, you know, in both Premier. They're still in that fight for Clubman Honours, one of the big trophies at the end of things tonight, and the C team putting in performances like we're seeing right now as well. That's another team that I think should be looking at their efforts in 2023 and taking the positives that they can build on for 2024.
Just had a great little battle heading down the pitch straight there. I believe that is the number 32 kart, making some great moves all the way up toward... It was actually before the braking zone heading into the first corner, and has made a couple of positions as a result there, as we have number 19 kart exiting the pits now. And I believe most drivers have pitted at this stage, maybe still a couple here or there to go. Liverpool still not pitting yet. They are one of those teams who have decided, you know what, we've got some good pace underneath us, we're liking the way the race is looking at the moment, why not stay out for as long as possible, make the most of what our current situation is.
We're watching live coverage of the BUKC 2023. Liverpool B leading this race, yet to serve their pit stop. They've not got too long to do so. 37 or less than 37.5 minutes remaining on the clock before this, the final race of the season. Out comes the number 68. That's Coventry D serving their first of 2 mandatory pit stops. Pit window reopens for part 2 10 minutes after the first one closes, so you're looking at 25 minutes of the race to go for that. And it could well be, Reeve, that you have a team taking the decision of doing a short stint with the driver, you know, run long
in the pits now, actually.
Yep, run long in the first one, put a driver in for 10 minutes, it's within the rules. Then bring a faster driver out for the rest of the race.
Exactly. They just have to make sure they don't fatigue that quick driver too much in trying to get them to run as long as possible. Make sure the fueling is all correct there now.
May not change the driver at all, of course, as there is the number 76 serving its pit stop. So now we've got an emerging picture of what this race actually looks like. Nottingham Trent A we ignore. They're ineligible. Manchester A will be very happy with the first 30 minutes of this race, or 25 to be exact-ish, 24. They're in position to get 60 points from this race. Oxford Brookes be there in second, and Cardiff A. Could they be on for a round win here?
They have Oxford Brookes B to clear first, but they are very much
putting the pressure on now, right on the rear axle of that car. Only, well, at one point, only 0.3 of a second. That gap has opened up ever so slightly now. Derby A getting past Liverpool B on that last lap. Not the best stop in the world for Liverpool, now down in P7. Meanwhile, Southampton leading this sort of mini pack that heads the upper midfield, if you will, by only about a tenth. So there's a great battle going on now between Southampton A and Derby A.
Let's just tune back in with Clubman again. We should note that Loughborough A are the other team who can win the Clubman award. Done all right. They've had a solid round 8. They're not in this race. 16th and 4th place for them so far. That's going to leave them on 102 points. I'm just going to refer back to my notes. The last time we had an endurance round.
While you do that, Manchester A pushing really well now. Half a second separating Manchester and Nottingham as we get ready to head on to that next lap. Matching each other in terms of times. We are 36 laps in at this point, and we're watching them now head through that first corner.
So 104 points at round 4, which was the last time we had one of these endurance events. It was at PFI. That would have left you in the top 10. That's the kind of score that Loughborough would have been looking for, and they improved their score by 1 point. They scored 103 last time in that particular round. They were just outside the top 10 on that day. But the situation at the moment with Nottingham Trent A still not really where they'd want to be after that spin early on. They've worked their way back up to 14th, so they're giving it a good old go.
Seeing here now, the battle for cars wide, just running onto the pit straight here. Here, in fact, the camera we got on screen with you right now. Great example of just how brave you need to be around that long right-hander running onto that pit straight. You need to carry as much momentum as possible. That can set you up for a position or even two before you run down into the braking zone for the first corner.
For the sake of argument, Loughborough A would need 5th place in this round to take things out of Nottingham Trent's hands. Even if Nottingham Trent A were to win the round, that would be enough. In a strange way about the mechanics of the points are working out. It is a 40-point gap between Loughborough A and Trent A at the moment, but Trent A have got 2 very much drop score rounds in there at the moment in the 40s in terms of final round position. Loughborough A have always been there or thereabouts. Lowest seed they've had, or lowest finish they've had in a round so far this year has been 24th. That was in the afternoon round at GYG.
Yes, we are following at the moment the battle between Derby and Southampton. We saw those two getting oh so close down the pit straight just 1 lap ago, and I'm sure they're going to replicate the exact same thing, trying to get as much of that slipstream as possible, trying to get any little advantage they can before they run down to that first corner. The gap, I was about to say ever so slightly bigger in the sense they are no longer attached, and it's been a great run for Southampton through the first corner there. And as we head into the exit, Southampton now up into 4th position.
How's our battle for 2nd place in the championship looking then? Well, Oxford Brooks A are having a decent round, or have been having a decent round up to this point so far. 6th in the first race. It's a bit more of a fight for them, of course, because they're trying to fight from the back of the order, but they're into 11th place. They're moving up through the rankings.
Have a penalty coming in for Brighton B there.
Yeah.
Bump and pass.
Bath A have had a quiet day, but worked very, very hard. Oh, off there is the number 36. This is down at Billy's Blind. It's Swansea A.
Luckily able to get underway relatively quickly there. Still this battle between Southampton and Derby looking like it could have continued on. However, we see Derby now potentially under threat from Cardiff in just a moment's time, as we have a take-off penalty for Oxford A for that incident there.
So just looking through some of the scores, I think we can probably count Bath A out for fighting for that top 3, because they're in the clubhouse on 100 points already. We mentioned 104 earlier as being inside the top 10 at the last endurance event. That logic would seem to lead us to believe that Bath A are going to be outside the top 10 once this race has been completed. They really needed a top result, a top 5, to be still in that discussion, the likelihood of the discussion. There's Dante Dillon on your screens, watching pensively. Nothing he can do now. He's done his job in the race earlier on this afternoon. It's all down to his teammates now as to whether it's going to be Clubman glory for Nottingham Trent A. Brooksby are definitely putting themselves in the discussion, leading this race.
As we have an offer on the exit of the horseshoe, or rather the midway point of the horseshoe. Didn't quite catch who that was able to rejoin just about in a safe manner. It was not an ideal part of the track to go off on when you've got a stream of carts heading your direction.
Yeah, I think we also had the 59 and the 37 off in all of that as well down at Hans Hairpin. So good news for them.
Comms box situation update. We have just opened the door because it's crept back up to 4,000 degrees, which is my limit.
If you've enjoyed the commentary, at @MM across your social media networks. Plenty more to come across the course of the summer, including Club 100 action, juniors and cadets competitions coming up. We're going to be very busy with that over the summer months to come, so definitely tune in for that. It was a fantastic show last year, and even more of it this year. That's now a full weekend event.
Oh, fantastic.
For 2023. Do go across to Club 100 website for all the details on when we're streaming or planning to stream those events. Into the second half of this one then. Brooksby controlling this race at the moment. 1.7 seconds is their gap over Nottingham, but we should remember that Nottingham A are ineligible. So effectively their lead for the key prizes is 3.8 seconds over Manchester A. Southampton A finishing strong in 4th. Cardiff A finishing strong as well. They're in 5th.
Oxford nailing the start of this race, of course, and in just a few minutes' time, we'll be thinking about the second pit stop phase.
Yep.
In just a moment's time, where things get turned right back on their head.
Going through Hans Hairpin there. Number 14 at the front of this group. This is involving the 59 that we saw had a spin earlier. It takes to B in the middle, going through buttons now. Number 15 of Oxford Brooksby ineligible, trying to find a way through.
So the number 74 car there, definitely having a look around the outside on the exit. That gave him the inside for the kink, and then the move was done before we headed towards the first corner. I think overall it's been actually really nice to see somewhat in race 2 and even more so in race 3, I'd argue. The drivers finally settling in, calming down a little bit, realising that it isn't going to serve you well to get a bit too elbows out. We learned that from the morning, and I think the way that race 1 ended in the Enduros as well, that we're now seeing some great racing on display here. Excellent racecraft.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the frustrations this times this morning, because this is a great circuit for wheel-to-wheel racing. It's one that you've really got to think about your move, make your moves work, and also see them through. It's all very well and good slinging it down the inside. I remember a race that me and Jacob had around here a few years ago where I kept being a real Billy into Billy's blind and just firing it down his inside and then running wide, and then he'd get me on the exit going through into the S's. It's all right. We both qualified through to the A farm in that one once we sorted ourselves out. But it's it's very much a give and take circuit. You can defend round here. You can have a really good scrap. There's number 99, unfortunately, off down at Billy's blind. That being Bath B. Nottingham Trent A now back up into the top 10. So, for argument's sake, that would leave them on 111. That's a pretty good score. But they need to finish as high up the order as possible to do away with the points deficit that they've got. So a reminder, 111 would have put you in the top 5 back at PFI. I don't think that would be enough. I don't think that would be enough to overhaul this points deficit, considering that Loughborough A are in the clubhouse with the clubman class and are getting another good score today. Yeah, it would leave them around on 359, I reckon, Nottingham Trent A, and if Loughborough A popped in the top 10, would just be ahead. But it's going to be close. They're going to keep pushing. They've got to keep pushing. Not penalties, pit stops being served now. Cardiff A are in. And then late charge to try and turn over a points deficit to get into the top 3. In terms of championship points, it is 8 at the moment to Bath A, but given how topsy-turvy this season has been, Reeve, normally that would be a chasm of points, but it's not a normal year. You really need 10, 15 points at the front of the order to be safe in your position. Hopefully they'll get this pit stop done right. Oh, Birmingham B going down the inside there. The number 11 won't thank them for that. That was Warwick A. Bit of a Midlands derby going on at the moment because Birmingham A are just ahead of this whole pack. Penalty for contact, the Nottingham Trent B cards. Multiple pieces of contact for them on that one.
Actually, the number 51 car exiting the pits, quite an early pitter here. We have still quite a few cars, of course, left to make the pit stops. Liverpool B, of course, at one point leading the race on track, and then also very much in the mix there in P2, now down in P5 with quite the deficit to the cards out in front. Southampton A in the pits now, so let's see what they can recover with the pit stop strategy. But at the moment looking very good for Brooksby out in front, 5 seconds separating them and Nottingham. So for their sake, hopefully the pit stop goes well, otherwise...
Brooksby can't win the round, just to be clear. In case we hadn't covered that before, because they got a 7th place in the first race of the day, unless there's any other little point scenarios that we're not aware of here in the box. Exeter, have a 2nd and a 5th already locked in, so you've got to score at least 115 points to win this round now. The best that Brooksby can do is 114.
That will stink.
Yes. Nottingham Trent A have done their pit stop, I think.
Manchester A have just jumped into the pits as well.
So Nottingham Trent A, I like that from Nottingham Trent A. Just get it done. Just get it done and out of the way. Concentrate now on almost a sprint now. 22 minutes, 3 minutes short of a normal sprint race. Run as hard as you can, gain as many positions as you can. It could make all the difference in the story of their year.
I think that's the key for me in the later stages of these endurance races. It's simply just to give yourself the most clear, level playing field you can. Why not just dive into the pits and, as you say, run hard and make the best of what you can.
Commentary B, by the way, I just wanted to give a bit more love to them, because a 10th and a 1st has put them on 111. They're in a very strong position, I think, to secure their clubman class podium for the whole year. They can't win it by my calculations, but they've given themselves a really good shot at least finishing 3rd. And depending on how Nottingham Trent A do, they could even finish 2nd. Leeds A have been forced out in that regard, I would say. Coventry B have beaten out Leeds A over the results so far. But a decent stab again from Leeds, say, Reeve. They've almost become the perennial team to at least have some interest in the club and class. Some years it's the A team, some years it's the B team, but Leeds again have been a real force to be reckoned with, and a pleasure to watch and race with this year, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
20 minutes to go. Oxford Brookes B now leading by 5.5 seconds. Oxford Brookes trying to achieve something they have done before, which is to get 2 teams onto the overall podium. Exeter A complete. Sorry, no, Oxford Brookes A. I'm so used to Exeter A dominating, I just called the number 1 kart Exeter A. Got to wait for that in 2024 rather. But Oxford Brookes A have just completed their pit stop. There's the current standings, 56 laps gone. Brookes B leading by 6 seconds ahead of Nottingham A. Liverpool B cycling back up to 3rd, but we know they're on a late pit strategy. Warwick A 4th, Birmingham A 5th ahead of their B team in 6th. Manchester A 7th, Southampton A, Leicester A and Cardiff A wrapping out the top 10. Cardiff have already pitted.
We have now a couple of cars starting to look around the kind of the 2 laps down mark, and this is where we also get, in fact, no, we have even more than that. This is where traffic management becomes even more crucial than it did just a few minutes ago. So drivers start to think, you know, is it safe to put a nose in here? Am I just sacrificing my own race for the sake of getting past a back marker? At the same time, they want to try and get clear of those back markers so they can try and get back up towards the cars in front of them. It's a very fine balancing act, especially when you've got the pressure of knowing that you've done 40 odd minutes of work behind you. It's all, as you were saying before, the final 20 minutes are what really makes or breaks an endurance event. So it's all to play for now. So don't go anywhere.
Looking through our list of potential winners again, just to make sure that I don't, in the last race, don't miss anybody out. Oxford Brookes C you can count out of mathematical chance of winning this round because they're 3 laps down and in 33rd. Sheffield A, I don't think are going to get there today either, unfortunately. They're down in 13th place at the moment. Oxford Brookes A still very much a part of the discussion, though, if they have a strong 20 minutes. I think it's Cardiff. I think it's whether Cardiff A, Reeve, can get up high enough to beat Exeter's 115. They need to finish at least 4th. The pace that they've had, they could have a chance here.
They very much could. They've had a strong showing all day, really. Of course, they won't have the electric Fraser in the kart for this race like they did in the previous race, but still great pace on display here. Just actually set one of their fastest laps so far, 41 flat. In fact, they'll make that 41.9 rather, apologies. But doing what they can to catch up to Manchester, only half a second now, and then we have karts that they can start to think about maybe trying to pick off if they're starting to get some overtake, as we are. That's a very nice shoulder, whoever that is.
Who was that? I think it was Piers. But yeah, 15.5 seconds the lead for Brookes B, but still waiting on their final pit stop.
I think it's one of our camera operators, I think.
Hello.
Penalty for Birmingham A actually just coming in now.
One last one.
As they dive into the pits alongside Birmingham B. Very interesting. I can't think of the last time we saw 2 teams from the same university diving into the pits together.
Oh yeah, if they've identified that there's a bit of a quiet time and they can get both teams serviced at once, there are 2 Bowsers in there. What you definitely don't want to do, of course, is end up stacked behind one another.
Yes.
But yes, we'll see. We'll know that in due course when we see both Birmingham karts come out and see their relative positions. And they pretty much both come out at the same time. Although the B one's got it. Ooh, well, that's something to
B
work
got
on
a
for
jump.
A. B got out ahead of A.
5 seconds lost in that pit stop. For A rather.
I think that shows you just how crucial the pit stops are. Those are 2 karts that have been running relatively similar pace. Okay, yes, it's two stable mates, so there may be a bit of team orders there, shall we say, to say B team Fernando is faster than you.
Can you confirm?
Can you confirm? But otherwise, the A team have now got to find 5 seconds in the space of 16 minutes. When the pace has been relatively the same between the 2 of them for the last was it 44?
Yes, that is one of the I suppose one of the key traits of it being such a short lap. It means, and it being quite a wide open, quite a high speed sector, there aren't too many opportunities for you to make up bags of time. There's not lots of technical little corners where a driver can demonstrate their true strength over another. So therefore, it can make it just a little bit more difficult to start putting in those laps that allow you to close up those gaps.
Oh, right up there, and in fact, is that involving Manchester A? Did I just see the Manchester A kart riding up the... Yes, I did. Sorry, no, not the Manchester A kart. More crucial than that, the Cardiff A one. They're back on track now. Cardiff A definitely lost a bit of time there, just almost getting picked up, rear bumper to front bumper through Hahn's hairpin there. That'll have been a bit of a heart in a mouth moment. And yeah, they've lost a position to Manchester A because of all of that. This race really starting to crescendo now. Once and in fact, oh, now there's a big one. That is a big one. Black flag, Cardiff A, ABC ×2. I said there was contact involving the Cardiff kart. That might have just handed the round win to the 2023 champions. And once again, Exeter A getting the job done, putting the pressure on other teams who've cracked. I don't see anybody else being able to overhaul the points advantage now
that
Exeter have got.
Great shame for the Cardiff squad. They've had such pace all day, really, but that one small mistaken judgment there has cost them.
Collection of mistakes, you'd maybe say, because it's a black flag for multiple ABCs.
True.
That takes them out of the discussion for second place, I'm afraid, as well, in the championship. They will have to come in, serve that penalty. They are going to lose a lot of positions because of that. There are a lot of teams running well in this race. They're going to lose out to Liverpool B and Sheffield and Warwick and Brooks D. It could also help Nottingham Trent A because it's going to promote them a spot.
That turns things around a little bit. I mean, as you were saying though, Exeter A, I mean, it's not as if they've arrived here today and gone a second lap quicker than everyone else and been absolutely there. But as you say, it's in almost quite a quiet manner. They've just been there, a looming threat, putting the pressure on, ready to take the spoils of other people's misfortunes, if you will.
This will feel good for Brooks B at the moment. It's Marlowe at the wheel for them. A lap. They've got a whole lap as an advantage.
But they have a penalty.
Oh, and there we go.
Contact.
Well, just as we say, Brooks B have got a lap lead yet to serve their stop. They get a contact penalty. I think I know what it was for. I think it was through the S's. There was a little bit of a lean on, I think it was the number 27. And Oxford Brooks B cross them off. They can't win this race now, even if they were, and they won't be, a lap ahead of the rest of the field at the end of this race. It's a place penalty, not a time penalty. My
disaster
goodness
for
me.
them. Someone off at the S's as well. As our producer Adam just said in my ear, the commentator cannon. Very much in full effect there.
That was another one. I'm getting them in before I go.
Let's wait to see. Oh, that must hurt at the S's there. A really unfortunate point at which to drop off the track. They've got to wait for the entire field to come through on the yellows there, and they've lost pretty much a lap at this point in time. In fact, they are going to lose a lap.
I'm just going to throw in there as well, is in the madness that has been this season. I'm looking, and they're probably going to be like, no, don't you dare.
That was a number 27 Nottingham, by the way. Just having that big off.
Rather, Southampton A. After the roller coaster season that they've had, which I'll just remind you at home, started off with a win at qualifiers, then a 15th in round 1 at Bookmoor Park. Not good. They then came back and won round 2. Oh, great. Maybe a championship campaign is back on. PFI then obliterated that because they got 2 26th places. Since PFI, they've been 4th, 4th, and then 5th this morning. They're sitting in 3rd place in this race, and with everybody else seemingly losing their heads, they could get on the round podium in this one, and that could just be enough because it's these wacky point situations and teams holding very big drops at the moment in their locker that hopefully they'll be able to get rid of. You could see a late surge from Southampton A here to get onto not just the round podium but the championship podium. There's a driver off through the horseshoe. Just trying to track who it is. The back of the driver is to us, so we can't identify the number at the moment. I think it's a black plate though, which would seem that would be a Prem kart. Brooksby, we should mention, have made their pit stop now, so the advantage they've got is 12 seconds. But remember, they have a penalty. Manchester A still holding position.
Maybe it wasn't a
in second place, so they would inherit the 60 points. So let's do a little bit of maths. So that would put Manchester up to 114. Southampton with the penalties are probably going to finish second at this rate. That would put them on 111. Brooksby, as we mentioned, couldn't win it anyway.
Southampton have got a penalty for takeoff.
Oh, okay. Well, that changes things.
So that now promotes Liverpool up a position. They are yet to make their pit stop. Have 5 minutes to do so.
I'm really starting to feel it. It's going to be another one of those, like a message from the missus earlier. You're calling this like a US election. I should explain she's American, so she's used. Yes, I am, dear. This is too close to call again. If there's another, is that a repeat showing for the penalty of Oxford Brooksby, or is that another one? Trent, I'm just looking at Trent A, looking there in 9th place.
All of a sudden going to be coming out quite well here.
They could be the beneficiaries here of a few positions, a few karts dropping 2 positions here, 4 positions there, 6 if it's Southampton A. Because remember, those penalties are applied from the back first. Trent A have just got they've got themselves in a decent position now. They've got to find, if they could find a way past Brooks A, that would be great. But maybe the best strategy for Trent A right now is don't get a penalty. Be there to take advantage of others who have. That could be what just pulls them ahead of Loughborough A. We just don't know at this stage. Manchester A, though, they've been very, very strong today.
They have. I think this makes up for race 2, really.
Yeah.
This is exactly where they would have wanted that previous race to have gone.
And I get the impression, obviously, it's always very difficult. I don't make the statement of, oh, driver X is retiring from BUKC action today, because the number of times I've said that, and then that same driver, I'm looking at you, Kyle Morby, if you're listening, coming back year after year after year for just a little bit more. So I won't mention names, but there were, I think some of the Manchester members are moving on this year, and they've been, he knows who he is because he came up to the box earlier and said some very kind words. They've been great, absolutely great over the past few years, and they used to be one of those teams that didn't really get any coverage because they were down the divisions, they've worked their way up, they've fought their way in. They were a big part of this championship. They're on for another top 10 results. The number 6 goes past the 7 there on track. And that's not for position. We should just be absolutely clear. That was Cardiff going back past Trent, but that was not for position.
Mention now only a few minutes left in the pit window as someone is off. Is that the hairpin? Yes.
The number 50 that's gone for a spin. That's Coventry C, currently down in 22nd place.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't believe Liverpool B have made a stop yet with 2 minutes to go in the window.
Yeah, we saw this in the first one.
Yeah. They're clearly opting, they're clearly deciding that later is better.
Although our time has been sent, they've been in twice, so maybe they have cycled their way through.
In which case?
Hello to Jamie Henderson, who used to race in this championship. Used to race very well in this championship. Very good driver. Was at the Bookmore Park 24 Hour at the weekend. It was good to see him. I swear some of these drivers just don't age. I was racing some of them 5 years ago. They've already been around for a while. Jamie, imagine how I feel, mate. No, I think it shows. Those are the drivers who really show the spirit of the BUKC for me. That it's such an enticing championship that people just keep coming back for a bit more.
Definitely, that is the case. Just saw someone dropping messages in saying, asking if it is wet today. It has very briefly in the morning, but I can
start. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have a look. It's absolutely beautiful at the moment. It is.
It's digital weather here at Clay. It's either like this and it's glorious, or it is very much the opposite. Never in between. But we love it. I love coming to this place. It's a special circuit, got a lot of history.
Also, I believe one of the oldest tracks that we actually visit on the calendar.
It's got a lot of history in the BUKC as well. Are we going to get another piece of that in the last 5.5 minutes of this race?
Of course, the old British style of circuit to have absolutely no runoff whatsoever. If you make a mistake, and if you are 5 inches outside of where you should be in terms of position in the car, you are soon finding yourself in a barrier and punished by having to wait for an entire lap so you can rejoin the track. Which, in a way, I think is the way it should be. But we do get a good variety in the BUKC, of course. You've got that, and then you've got the likes of PFI, a very different circuit, arguably just as high speed, if not slightly more high speed, of course.
So the pit window has now closed.
Oh,
now that's another big one. Manchester A, who were looking set for the win. ABC, bump and pass 4 places.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, this now means Liverpool. Oh, I shouldn't have said it.
You have now.
I've said that
Liverpool could be on for a race win
on
here.
for a race win. Sorry, Liverpool squad. You've got no chance now.
And I'm just going to throw this one in here. I'm going to test you because I know you've been keeping an eye on it. Sheffield, have they got a penalty, yes or no?
Let's find out. Let's do some investigation.
Because if they haven't, I think they're on for second place here in this race. Now, that would make it just one. Oh, you would do this, BUKC, in my last race. We could be on for a tiebreaker here on fastest lap.
Oh, interesting.
Because Sheffield A got 5th place in their first race. Once bits known to us in the box for ineligibles and all of that business taken into account. 5th and 2nd is what Exeter got. 5th and 2nd could be what Sheffield A are about to get as well. Or another way of looking at this, if Sheffield can get 1.6 seconds up the road in the last 3.5 minutes, they could be on for a round victory here and really shoot themselves up the table in the last round of the season. We're having a look at the number 42. I think that's Alex Mitchell at the wheel for Brighton. Yes, it is. Apparently got cursed at the weekend during the 24-hour. I'll be honest, I can't remember. But then again, I did a lot of commentary last weekend, and it's all a bit fuzzy.
Yeah. What did you? I think you put the numbers at 18 hours.
18 hours at least. Last weekend. If you missed it, you can watch it back on the Alpha Live YouTube channel, all free of charge. Yes, Jamie. Championship already decided, was already decided before today. Exeter A, your champions, and in the clubhouse, looking for another round victory, but it could be about to be stolen from them by Sheffield A. The gap is now 2.1 seconds. Liverpool B are going out from Sheffield A. There is the number 76. Oh, how about this? This would be a real turn-up for the books. I don't think many people would have expected this result at the start of this race, but here they are. They've kept the noses clean. 2 minutes to go.
I can tell you, for one, I'm very happy with how things are looking at this point in time. Not that, of course, there is any bias.
No bias. Hashtag not biased.
Yes, this is throughout the day, Liverpool have shown glimpses of some fantastic pace. Unfortunately, they've got caught up in incidents or they've collected penalties here or there. It hasn't quite come to fruition, and I think this may be kind of a bit of retribution for them almost. If they can finish the day in the way that they meant to start it, it'd be nice to see.
Curb warning for Derby A. Sausage.
Loughborough C. Contact penalty.
Don't worry, we've not forgotten the situation with Clubman and Nottingham Trent A trying to get a high enough score that they surge into the lead at the last gasp. But the problem is, there's so much going on with penalties and position changes, we just won't know until the scores have come in. And even then, they'll probably get recounted again and again and again. It really is getting very tight out there. Okay, it's not been a tight fight at the front of the order for the championship like we've seen in previous years, but boy, is the rest of the field delivered with excitement. The Liverpool B looking all right. They'll see the last lap board next time around. If you're just joining us, why are we talking about this as the leader? Well, first, second and third all have a penalty of some sorts on to the last lap of the race then for Liverpool B. They've crucially pulled out more of a gap over Sheffield A on that last lap.
That really did matter. I was about to say matching in terms of pace on the lap before that, and then they've replicated the same feat once again. So they are starting to look a little bit more comfortable now. We are have the checkered flag now, of course. It is Brooks who come across the line to take the win on the road, of course.
But have a penalty.
And then we wait for a few more seconds for the same to take place. Manchester across the line, Southampton across the line, and then I'll pass over.
Yeah, here they come across the line. Oh, very looking tight on the line, but Liverpool B have got it. They were down the inside of another cart there, right over the line. So as long as they don't get any contact warnings for that.
Oh, I hope not.
That should be a win for Liverpool B. Sheffield A second once penalties have been applied, as long as they've not got a penalty themselves that we've forgotten about. Oxford Brooks A finish 6th on the road. We'll do from on the road from here on in. Warwick A 7th, Oxford Brooks D in 8th, 9th for Nottingham Trent A in 9th, Warwick B 10th. Good race for Warwick that to finish the mains season, 2 carts in the top 10, ahead of their West Midlands rivals Birmingham, who finished B team ahead of A team. So that pit stop was crucial for the B and A team from UOB there. Brighton A 13th, Nottingham A 14th.
I should just at this point mention that the Liverpool team were not aware that the 3 in front of them had penalties.
Oh, okay. They weren't aware. So Loughborough C 15th, Lancaster A in 16th, 17th for Derby A, Liverpool A 18th, Cardiff A. That's a real disappointment for them. They were right in there, but it all fell apart in that last 20 minutes. They finished in 19th place, Exeter B 20th, Leicester A 21st, Loughborough B 22nd, Coventry C 23rd, Brighton B 24th, Trent B 25th, Manchester B 26th, Bath B in 27th, Cardiff B 28th, Swansea A 29th, Coventry D 30th, Brooks C 31st, Oxford A 32nd, York A 33rd, and Edinburgh A 34th. The other thing that I'm just going to look at, hopefully we'll be able to get the results through before we wrap up, is fastest laps between the 2 carts. So Exeter A had a 40.796 in the first race. In the second race, they didn't beat that. So what are we looking at on the timing screen is the fastest lap tiebreaker. If it's that scenario, it's going to go the way of Exeter. So we'll track that in due course, that if it is a tie on points between Sheffield and Exeter, a 5th and a 2nd place for each of them, we're waiting to see if that's confirmed. Exeter would take the tiebreaker because they've had the faster lap across the 3 races that we've had so far this afternoon. John Ratcliffe rejoins us in the box. Hello, mate.
Hello. I've returned to help finalise this stream. A great race to end the day, though. As you mentioned, I was a little personally gutted that Cardiff didn't quite end the day as they would have liked, but a very interesting race nonetheless. I very much enjoyed it from the sidelines. I'm sure it was as interesting in the box. I could hear you over the noise of the engines rambling on about something, but I couldn't really tell what exactly, to be honest.
We've had a result come in, gents, and it's quite a big one. Liverpool B take the race win. That's confirmed. Brooks D 2nd, but Brooks D were ineligible, so effectively in terms of the points, Nottingham Trent A have finished 2nd in the round, which might mean they've taken the round win, actually, once we consider that they won round 1, that the penalties may have handed it their way and taken it away from Exeter. Birmingham B finish 4th in that race, because of, again, so many penalties and so many deductions in places. 5th for Manchester A, 6th for Lancaster A, 7th for Sheffield A. So they did have a penalty. They didn't have a clean race. They fall back. They won't have won the round. 8th for Southampton A, 9th for Brooks B, 10th for Derby A. Gents, once again, it's been about keeping your head today and making sure that, first and foremost, you race cleanly and don't incur the wrath of race control.
Very much so. I mean, that final race, a perfect example of that. Arguably, Liverpool not the quickest kart out on track at really any stage, especially in the second half. But through, as you say, keeping the nose clean, they've come away with a fairly convincing win.
They have indeed.
I think that was the main thing to take away from today, wasn't it? We saw a lot of penalties. I think the race control need their money doubled from today. Lots of penalties and black bags and things coming through. So if you just kept your nose clean, kept out of trouble, you were on for a good result. And as you say, at the end of that one, Liverpool B certainly found that. So an impressive achievement in that final race from Liverpool B. But an exciting end to the 2023 BUKC Championship, I think.
It was indeed. There will be more action tomorrow that you can follow on the social medias at the BUKC and the live timing as well. Remember as well, we've got more karting action here on Alpha Live coming up this weekend. Sunday, the team will be up at Rowra for Super 1 round number 4. Commentary from @double-MM there as well. Any last thoughts, gents, before we sign off here from the stream? John's phone's just got off.
Yep.
So,
apart from my alarm going off telling us we need to shush. Yeah, it's been fantastic. Really enjoyed being involved with BUKC this year. It's been a pleasure being in the box with mainly Andrew for this year, but Reeve, it's been a pleasure to meet you, and it's going to be myself and Reeve on the comms for next year, so I'm super excited.
Yeah, likewise. If this season has been anything to go by, I think we're in for a great season next year as well. So I thank you and I thank Andrew as well for guiding us as we have worked our way through this year.
It's been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for all the years. It's not goodbye, it's not farewell. I'll still be around and sneak in from time to time. But
we never would have doubted that, mate.
I'll still find a way to be around in this paddock. But yes, that's it for BUKC streaming for the 2023 season. I'm sure we'll be back for 2024. Thank you for your continued support. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for making this championship just a joy to be a part of. And until next time, do take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. We'll see you very, very soon for more action here on Alpha Live for the BUKC. For 2023, bye-bye. The BUKC main season is go. Great start for the number 18 car.
You have quite clearly stolen my trademark.
And I got a whack from behind, which walloped everyone else out of the way. I came out in second, and I was like, oh, that'll do.
Rory Smith goes for it. What a move into Ghana. That was a very, very bold move. Down to the final corner. Race victory here at Bookmore Park, and a very mature drive and 60 points